24 of 29 Iranian-made drones. Typhoon Koinu is sweeping southern Taiwan, injuring 190, causing no deaths but record-breaking rain and wind. Rescue workers are searching for more than 100 missing after flash flooding in northeast India as well. The head of Homeland Security calling for construction of a border wall in parts of Texas. Here's our reporter, Mark Mayfield.
Fox News says DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is citing an acute and immediate need to waive dozens of federal laws to build a border wall in parts of Texas where illegal migration has surged recently. The announcement, published in the Federal Register, calls for border wall construction in Starr County along the Rio Grande, where the Biden administration says there is a high illegal entry. I'm Mark Mayfield.
President Biden's dog commander banned from the White House. 2-year-old German Shepherd has a history of biting Secret Service agents and those working inside the White House residence, the president's home for now. Nearly 1 week after hundreds of workers at a biopharmaceutical plant in Bradley walked off the job, an agreement has been reached that will end the strike at CSL Behring in Kankakee County. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is planning to visit the U.S. southern border in order to witness, he says, the illegal migrant crisis firsthand.
We still have public safety that we have to address. We still have the unhoused that we have to address. I still have a budget that I have to address. And I'm doing all of that with a black wife raising 3 black children on the west side of the city of Chicago. I am going to the border as soon as possible.
A group of residents in the South Shore neighborhood are suing in an effort to stop the Johnson administration and Chicago public schools from housing illegal migrants in public buildings.
Parks are not being parked where kids can go and play, and police stations are not policing. That's right. All of them have one thing in common. What's that? They are hotels and shelters.
The group initially filed suit in May to prevent the former South Shore from being taken over. They voluntarily dropped the first suit, but now have decided to take further legal action. Chicago sports, Commanders and Bears Thursday night football. The showdown at FedEx Field. Fire winners over Inter Miami last night, 4-1. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. Around the clock, all day, every day. Listen now, Dan and Amy 247.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Breakthrough Ideas, Linex of Roselle, and by the law offices of Stephen Leahy.
When you're in the market to buy or sell a home, commercial property, or even vacant land, let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. She's reliable, responsive, personable, and extremely thorough when helping you deal with an otherwise stressful transaction. Attorney Kim leads with her values and is committed to providing legal services with excellence. To contact Attorney Kim, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com. Whether it's drafting agreements, negotiating contract terms, or closing on a property, Attorney Susan J. Kim can do it all. Over 10 years of experience and her wealth of knowledge tackling complicated legal negotiations and breaking them down into a smooth, easy-to-understand process is what she does best. So let Attorney Susan J. Kim step in. To schedule your legal consultation today, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com or call 847-906-3166. Susan J. Kim, attorney at law, is a state of Illinois licensed real estate attorney.
Democrats just want to win the next election, and they're trying to do it with ceaseless money printing. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. It is critical to protect your retirement right now with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. Text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Hey everybody, Charlie Kirk here. Freedom Square is an unbelievable service designed to unite freedom-loving Americans. I know these guys. They love their country and they're doing an amazing job. You can log on now to create your free personalized dashboard. All of your favorite news sites, podcasters, all on one site, all at your fingertips. Sign up your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with freedom-loving Americans. Look, people want businesses they can support. You want to know the good guys from the bad guys. That's freedomsquare.com. Log on right now and create your personalized dashboard. Join us in the fight, so check it out. freedomsquare.com. Freedom lives here.
Let's welcome our new Freedom Square Business Network members. Image One, Breakthrough Ideas, Health Insurance Mentors, and Moms for America. It's time to unite and vote with your dollars. Download the Freedom Square app and register your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with patriots. Freedom Square. Freedom lives here.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
5:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start in Grant Park, where roads are shutting down as they prepare for the Chicago Marathon this weekend. Watch out for that. Reagan Memorial, stop-and-go traffic eastbound on I-88 right at Roosevelt. Jane Addams, solid traffic due to a semi-fire blazing right now. 3 left lanes are blocked. This is on westbound I-90, the Jane Addams, between Route 72 to past Powers Road. Tri-State right now jammed up southbound at LaGrange Road. Your entrance ramp there is closed with ongoing road work. Obviously, that road work was picked up, but the blockage is still in place until 6 a.m. Bishop Ford jammed up inbound with the rain, 115th into the Dan Ryan. Stevenson accident left shoulder inbound between the Veterans and Lamont Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy morning rain, and then maybe some afternoon sun. High 74. 68 right now. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897. Online at papanicholas.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about the migrant challenge. Don't call it a crisis in Chicago and other big cities. BLM Brandon making noise about going down to the border to assess the situation himself. Maybe help build a border wall that Ellie Mayorkas is calling for on the southern border in Texas. Amazing.
Amazing, the change of heart. This is a takeover, though. This is an invasion of our, no, these are our spaces, Dan. They should be reserved for Americans, Illinoisans, and Chicagoans first.
We're all human beings. No one can be illegal.
Well, I asked my Park District friend, I said, why can't that football team, the Austin football team, youth program that is based out of Amundsen Fieldhouse, why can't they just play outside? She goes, no, the migrants are going to be in the outdoor spaces as well, but also their equipment and their gear is stored in the field house.
Get it out. The priority is for people who have entered this country illegally.
And it's not 300, it's 600 they want a house there.
Whatever the number is, that it is just a whole of society approach to provisions for people who are government, the government that all these people in South Shore and Galewood are complaining about. Our government has prioritized. But whole of society approach to provisions for people our government has prioritized. That's what's happening. So get on board.
No, this is the wake-up call. People are going to start turning on BLM Brandon. And the Democratic Party as a whole.
And it's, if you feel bad about the youth football team out of the Austin neighborhood, look, there's a lot of company there. We're all going to have to make some sacrifices to make sure that nobody calls us unwelcoming.
Well,
and can I just finish a thought? We're all going to have to make sacrifices, not just the youth football team in Austin. For example, our veterans. The Army-Navy game is taking place in Foxborough, Mass. This year at Gillette Stadium. More than 6 dozen military veterans and active service members who booked hotels for the upcoming Army-Navy football game got thrown out.
Yeah, because Massachusetts is a right-to-shelter state.
75 hotel reservations made in anticipation of the game were canceled between 3 hotels located in and around Foxborough. The travel agent who arranged the rooms for active duty and veterans to go to the Army-Navy game, because they were West Point or Naval Academy grads, are West Point or Naval Academy grads in most instances. The travel agent reached out to one of the hotels. He was told that rooms are now being offered to migrant families because Massachusetts has seen an influx in recent months. Oh, no, I know, because Governor Maura Healey, she's a lesbian. That's the most important thing to know about her. And so she's obviously beyond reproach and criticism. She declared a state of emergency. She activated the Massachusetts National Guard, and they're assisting with providing shelter to people in Massachusetts who've been shipped up from the southern border. And if that means that veterans and active duty military need to be displaced, then so be it. So everybody's going to have to give something.
And I loved Governor DeSantis' tweet. He said, our veterans and service academy graduates cannot find anywhere to stay for the Army-Navy game because hotels are housing illegal aliens on our taxpayer dime. What a farce. When I'm president, the days of putting illegal aliens over Americans will be over. I can stand behind that.
Candace, Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin.
Hi, guys. Hey, if people aren't happy up there, I've been watching this YouTube channel called Joe and Nick's Road Trip. Now, he's going through Illinois right now, every small town downstate, and he films the whole thing so you could see the main historic part and then the rest of the houses. And, yeah, if people want a place to live that's pretty safe and, he goes through everything, the economy, what the average house costs. It's fascinating. I suggest people, if you really want to see the state of Illinois, go downstate because it's a really interesting channel to watch because you can learn a lot without having to go there.
Thanks for the call, Candace. Jordan, Forest Park.
I think people should not pay attention to this head fake regarding the border wall thing, but somebody should ask the Biden administration, what 4 or 5 things are you doing now to discourage somebody coming from El Salvador or Honduras or wherever up here to begin with? Tell me some things that you're going to do to discourage them, and I'd like to hear the answer.
Well, that's a good question. But what about this suggestion that this is a head fake? The building some border wall in some parts.
I think this is going to be a point that they can, when they get the question, what are you doing about the migrant crisis? Well, we're doing this.
Right.
They're going to point to Texas, and so they have and they're going to say probably, don't worry about what the past. The past is the past. Let's talk about the future.
Well, I agree with you. I think that's a pretty good insight, Jordan, and it's a reminder of what Joe Obama terms 1 and 2 were like. What Obama was, maybe Biden's taking a page out of his playbook. Press release politics. We see this in Chicago and Illinois all the time. I'm announcing something that I'm not going to do, and nobody will ever call me on it because obviously the press corps is my comp shop. Nobody will ever call me about it. And if somebody does call me on it, I'll show, like in this instance, I'll show pictures of guys in uniform on the border, and they seem to be doing something. And it'll probably be the National Guardsmen that Greg Abbott called out to put up wire, or CPB just doing their job in the ordinary course of business. But it won't be anything on the order of what you think. The announcement is enough, right? They know they're going to have to take heat for the blatant hypocrisy, but they're privately telling their people, don't worry, don't worry, we're not really going to do it. Yeah, I think that's right. And, this is where Republicans fall down on the job in just pointing out the hypocrisy and then not doing the follow through. Okay, so when is it going to be? When is what you say you're going to do be completed? Okay, we're setting that date, and then we'll check back with you, and we'll make sure that everybody knows. That the head fake piece is a really good point that needs to be monitored and exposed when it inevitably goes the way that Jordan from Forest Park suggested. Eduardo in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, good morning. Anthony Blinken's having a meeting there with Central American countries. There's this main road called Darien Gap in Panama, and they're coming in through there. There's a staging ground where they're charging phones, and there's buses so they can go up and park. So that needs to stop.
Yeah, that's where Eric Adams is going to the Darien Gap to try and talk to them. Like the one-man army, I'm going to try and stop all you people from coming and letting them know it gets cold in the wintertime.
It's more press release politics. Eric Adams goes down there. Animatronic Tony Blinken goes down there. Kamala Harris goes down there. She has photo ops with the presidents of the Northern Triangle countries. And what does that accomplish?
Wasn't she in charge of this?
Root causes.
She was in charge of that. Biden was in charge of curing cancer when he was VP.
Larry in Elmhurst.
Hey, good morning. Hey, didn't FJB tell Abbott to take down the container cars that he put up along the border there?
Well, he had buoys.
He was afraid that somebody might call Greg Abbott unwelcoming, I think.
Yeah, but my point is, I think a lot of them are going to leave as soon as we hit the first snow here. They interviewed one guy on Fox 32 who, through a translator, said, in Venezuela, we never slept on the streets. So I think this is a culture shock for him, and I think that a lot of these people will be gone.
I wouldn't be so sure.
No, inside police station, they have beds. They have bedding. It's not like they're sleeping on the streets. I mean, I don't know about the ones that just got dropped off last night because we had 22 buses yesterday.
Well, we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to make accommodations for these individuals. So if they have accommodations, why would they leave? Would you rather have accommodations in Chicago in the winter? Or would you rather be subject to whatever's going on the ground in Caracas? Actually, it's increasingly a close call. I'm not sure. It's an open question.
And if any of you want to see what it's really like, just stand outside one of these shelters, except for the one at the Standard Club, because there's a good chance you could get shot or robbed. That place is scary. That's worse than going into Cabrini Green in the 90s as a reporter. Oof.
And here again, stories like this that won't be brought to you by the D.C. Press Corps, the Dems Com Shop, but will be by conservative outlets like Breitbart. And before I recount this story, and you get the knee-jerk response from these mindless open border automatons, like the AOC and her gang in Congress. This is not to insinuate anything other than the four corners of this story, of the facts of this story. This is not to say this is indicative of everyone who comes here, legally or illegally, everyone who wants to come here. But when you have no quality control and no real background checking, and you open your border, then it's going to be a mixed bag, because humanity's a mixed bag. Indigenous people, mixed bag. People from outside of America coming here, mixed bag. Just a fact. So if you want to roll the dice and increase the chances of migrants and Americans being victimized by violent predators, then continue this policy. At least 11 illegal alien men are accused of having been involved in a house of horrors in the small town of Bemidji, Minnesota, where at least 3 young girls were drugged, tied up, and gang raped. An 11-year-old girl presented herself at the hospital there in that small town in Minnesota to report she'd been sexually assaulted. The men allegedly brought the victim to a residence, pushed her down a flight of stairs, forced her to consume alcohol, tied her up. The victim alleges a man nicknamed Panda, later identified as some 22-year-old out of Mission, Texas, by way of some foreign country. I don't know which one. That guy raped her while 4 men watched. Then she was gang raped by an unknown number of men, an 11-year-old.
She was tied up in the room with 2 other young girls on either side of her, and 4 men were present, and they were taking turns raping her. Bemidji's in northern Minnesota. It's a town of about 15,000. Small town, and it's a college town, too. And I'm surprised that this went on for as long as it did. But these men are all here illegally.
So the point is, again, for emphasis, just like we talk about repeat violent offenders who are no cash bailed in this day and age of the Pritzker Purge law, or even electronic monitoring when they should be detained for trial, and then they commit another violent crime while awaiting the adjudication of their case on an unrelated violent crime. Preventable crimes. Preventable crimes. People who we could have prevented from becoming victims, and really victims in a life-altering way.
Yeah, these girls are never going to be the same, and they've only arrested one man so far. He's 22 years old. But, I mean, every state's a border state now, and we've unleashed holy hell onto Americans, and nobody's doing anything about it. This is human trafficking case.
Tina, Joliet.
Hi, good morning. So I went to the Joliet Council meeting the other day and found out Joliet requested, not Joliet, Angel Contreras, Township Supervisor, requested more than $8.6 million. He wanted $11 million. And again, nobody knew about it. The city council was pretty adamant in saying not one of them was aware. The mayor's office is saying they were not aware. He signed the city, he used the city seal on the grant. He used the City of Joliet grant writer to help him with this grant. We're trying to trace back if there were maybe some senators involved in applying for this, but we're getting, so Rachel Ventura released a statement, and we're getting the, you know, as Americans, we should want to help, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
There is no talk. You know, not only does this grant need to be withdrawn, it was done under fraudulently, but Angel Contreras needs to resign. He's committed a crime. This is fraud. He was asked by Mayor Darcy what he intended to do with the grant, and he said, well, he wasn't sure. They're trying to spin that it isn't to bring more illegal immigrants into Joliet, but to service the ones that are already here. So the folks in the crowd were overwhelmingly against this. There were a couple hate has no home here idiots who gave us the guilt trip about how we haven't done enough to help the illegal immigrants, that Poland has 1 million migrants, blah, 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 blah. And but overwhelmingly, the rest of us were all very stern in letting the city know that no, we're not okay with this. Our tax dollars need to be spent on American citizens and not foreign nationals.
Thanks for the call, Tina.
How much did they get again? I know Elgin, you said, got 1.2 million. Urbana got 250,000, and Joliet got millions.
You know, the mentality that you're up against. Tina mentioned the hate has no home here drones. Larry Krasner, the DA, the Soros-funded DA in Philly, you know, the old honky version of, old male honky version of Kim Fox. This is a really interesting statement. You know, the looting that went on in Philadelphia last week and continues, by the way. This is one of my favorite stories out of Philadelphia.
What now?
Thieves steal $73,000 worth of crabs from truck in Philly.
Oh, my God. What, are they having a cookout?
I don't know. Maybe they're going to trying to upsell them to Joe's or something.
They're going to turn that?
Yeah.
What?
$73,000 worth of
my,
crabs.
That's a lot of crabs.
It is. Yeah. 184 cases of crab clusters valued at $73,000.
How do you steal?
I'll have a cake.
That much, I mean,
yeah.
Pull up the U-Haul.
Larry Krasner responding to all that's been going down in Philadelphia. Listen to this statement.
Not going to let any judge disturb the peace of this city.
The DA calls it individual justice and says everyone involved in the looting will be looked at on a case-by-case basis.
We'll look carefully to see whether this is a one-off situation and they're fundamentally law-abiding people.
I mean, of course, every case needs to be looked at on an individual basis, but that phrase, fundamentally law-abiding people. I mean,
What's wrong with him? I mean, did he see the video of the white little kid wannabe thug bashing in the black lady's, windows of her car?
He's fundamentally law-abiding.
Yeah, really. Okay.
Don't let that one moment define his life. That's the attitude. Yes, they did something terrible. Fundamentally law-abiding, we're going to give them a pass until they do it again. And then we're going to say, well, societal pressures, patriarchal oppression, so on and so forth. Fundamentally law-abiding criminals. That's a new phrase in American lexicon, thanks to Soros-funded DAs like Larry Krasner. Fundamentally law-abiding criminals.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We've got another installment of sports and politics. Aaron Rodgers goes after the future Mr. Taylor Swift, and Trevor Bauer accused. Major League Baseball pitcher Trevor Bauer accused and vindicated. 6:06.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Embattled Illinois DCFS head is resigning. Mayor Johnson to visit the southern U.S. border, but not right away. Memorial Stadium cleared for the Illini game against Nebraska. The Bears visit Washington tonight. WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
He's going to restart what he stopped. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Biden administration is fast-tracking the building of border wall in Texas, 17 miles of it in Starr County, waiving 26 federal laws to get it done, including the Clean Air and Clean Drinking Water Acts. The head of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, cites an acute and immediate need to stop illegal border crossings after a new record surge of migrants last month. Fox's Brooke Singman has reaction.
I spoke exclusively with former President Trump last night, who said Biden sees our country as being invaded. He has to reinstate Remain in Mexico and Title 42. He has to do all of the other things that we were doing. Now, this move is a complete 180 from what Biden said on the campaign trail when he vowed to completely overhaul Trump's border policies.
Today, President Biden will meet with his national security team focused on Ukraine as he pushes Congress to approve billions of dollars more in military aid to help fend off Russia's invasion. But Republican Senator J.D. Vance tells Fox
Congress is not going to give a blank check to Ukraine funding, and they're not going to give a blank check to the Biden administration.
The House remains in recess, considering who will be the next speaker, after Kevin McCarthy was ousted by Democrats, joined by 8 Republicans, including Congressman Matt Rosendale, who tells Fox.
I feel redeemed now that immediately thereafter that we had several of the members that were standing up saying that they were interested in running for speaker because they were, for fear of retribution, were not able to do that back in January.
Congressman Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise say they will run for the speakership. Others say they're considering it.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. This is the second of a 3-day strike for about 75,000 healthcare workers at Kaiser Permanente facilities.
We're trying to fix the short staffing crisis that we have here.
She's in California, also demanding higher pay. There are also walkouts in 5 other states and Washington, D.C. I'm sorry to report you failed. I did too. None of us won the Powerball jackpot again, so the prize grows to $1.4 billion. America's listening to Fox News.
68 degrees, light rain showers, 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. The embattled director of the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services, Mark Smith, is stepping down, but not right away, only resigning at the end of the year. Smith took over DCFS in 2019. He's been held in contempt of court at least a dozen times for his failure to properly care for the state's children. State Representative Charlie Meyer.
This administration repeatedly turns its back on fixing the problems, tries to sugarcoat them. Look at how many times the Auditor General's come in stating reports against DCFS.
The governor's office also quietly announced shakeups yesterday afternoon in the Department of Healthcare and Family Services, Department on Aging, and Financial and Professional Regulation. However, current agency heads were only replaced by Pritzker administration insiders. Nearly 1 week after hundreds of workers at a biopharmaceutical plant in Bradley walked off the job, an agreement has been reached that will end the strike at CSL Behring in Kankakee County. Mayor Brandon Johnson planning to visit the U.S. southern border, but did not specify when he will be making the trip.
We still have public safety that we have to address. We still have the unhoused that we have to address. I still have a budget that I have to address. And I'm doing all of that with a black wife raising 3 black children on the west side of the city of Chicago. I am going to the border as soon as possible.
Dozens of former Signature Room workers allege the owner of the now shuttered iconic Chicago restaurant broke the law.
We are here today with one simple request, that the Signature Room follow the law.
Unite One Hospitality Union officials allege the restaurant broke the federal WARN Act by not giving notice of an impending layoff. The 136 workers feel betrayed.
The Signature Room operators need to follow the law and pay us what they owe.
Workers are suing for back pay and other benefits. Well, that NASCAR street race will be back next year. The announcement coming after a study promoted by the city showed the race drew about 47,000 unique attendees, and it will be back over the July 4 weekend. Commanders and Bears in a primetime showdown tonight on Thursday Night Football. The Fire keep their playoff hopes alive with a 4-1 rout of Inter Miami. Baseball is over for the Diamondbacks baseball is over for the Brewers. Teams like the Diamondbacks, Twins, Phillies, and Rangers swept their best-of-3 playoff series. Arizona down the Brewers 5-2 on the road to advance to the NLDS. The news service of MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets, they're back in stock. They provide that soft feel you need and look for in a towel. And for a limited time, get 50% savings with promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Lil's Dietary Shop, Blue Star Security, and by Hope Wins 7.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. Dogs chase cars, but they can't drive one even if they catch it. Matt Gaetz and 7 other Republicans have the same problem. The 8 dissidents cited the willingness of Speaker Kevin McCarthy to work across the aisle as a reason to remove him. They then joined every Democrat in the House to remove McCarthy as Speaker despite opposition from 210 Republicans. They had no plan, no alternative strategy, and have left the caucus in chaos for no good reason. The next Speaker will get elected from the current leadership, all of whom supported McCarthy. Whoever wins will face the same problem McCarthy did: narrow control over the House while Democrats control the Senate and the White House. Nothing will change for House Republicans. Gaetz's defenders claim that the message sent was worth the chaos. The only message this sends is that some 5% of the GOP want to burn down the House and don't mind partnering with Democrats to do it. I'm Ed Morrissey.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu. Bring smiles to all when shopping online with Dell Technologies Gift Guide. Whether it's for the artist, the entrepreneur, the student, or the streamer, you'll find the perfect gift for everyone on your list. Dell.com/gift guide makes gifting easy with a carefully curated selection of our best tech. Shop now to explore our innovative PCs like the XPS 13 laptop, powered by the latest Intel Core processors, plus this season's top accessories. Visit Dell.com/gift guide today to get a jump on your holiday gift list. That's Dell.com/gift guide.
Democrats just want to win the next election, and they're trying to do it with ceaseless money printing. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. It is critical to protect your retirement right now with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. Text the word PROTECT to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I retired 3 years ago, and I've been hearing your ads on the radio for years. And finally, when I moved, I went through this flurry of activity, and all of a sudden, after a couple months after the painting was done and the unpacking and the putting away and everything, because I moved to a different state, and I said, you know what? I'm going to get some of that and try it. I'm telling you, it was like I was a whole new person. I could have given a 3-year-old a run for his money.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Stop-and-go traffic on the Stevenson inbound between Harlem and Kedzie, and an accident on the left-hand shoulder coming inbound between I-355, the Veterans Memorial Toll, and Lamont Road. On the Edens Expressway, accident inbound between Lincoln and Niles Center, 28 minutes on the inbound commute from Lake Hook Road into the junction. The Kennedy, already heavy numbers, Harlem to Montrose, 45 in to the Burn Circle interchange. Delays on the Dan Ryan in the Express. You're jammed up inbound between Pershing and the Stevenson. Bishop Ford and I-57 already jamming into the Ryan merge. Jane Addams, you have an extinguished semi-fire, but 3 lanes remain blocked. 3 left lanes. You're getting by on the right-hand shoulder. This is westbound on I-90 between Route 72 all the way through to Powers Road. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Andy Robb.
Some rain to start today, then sunshine and clouds by the afternoon. Today's high 74. Tonight, clear and cool, the low 52. And for Friday, breezy with clouds and sun. An afternoon shower, high 61. I'm Andy Robb on AM 560, The Answer.
68 at O'Hare. Next news, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
We've got a few anecdotes to share in this edition of Sports and Politics. One that's fun and a couple that are a little bit more serious, a lot more serious, actually. First, let's start with the fun, shall we? Aaron Rodgers, the injured Jets quarterback. You may remember him from his days at the Green Bay Packers. You recall that?
And the four passes he made with the Jets.
So Rodgers is always on the Pat McAfee show, and Pat McAfee should be thanking his lucky stars that he's besties with Aaron Rodgers, because that's why ESPN bought his podcast for $100 million. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But anyway, breaking down the Monday night Chiefs-Jets game, where the Chiefs held on for a victory there. And he slipped something in while he was breaking down the game for his buddy Pat McAfee.
Didn't have a crazy game, and Mr. Pfizer, we kind of shut him down a little bit. He didn't have his crazy impact game. Obviously, he had some yards and stuff, but I felt like for the most part, we played really tough on defense, especially the last 3 quarters. And
Mr. Pfizer.
Wait, who is Mr. Pfizer? Oh, Mr. Travis Kelce?
Travis, did you know you can get this season's COVID-19 shot when you get your flu shot?
2 things at once.
2 things at once! 2 things at once! I'll have the 2 things at once, please. Now back to 2 things at once. 2 things at once.
That's not 2 things at once.
Mom!
Travis, ask about getting this season's COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
That's why he's Mr. Pfizer. He's also Mr. Bud Light. He appeared in a Bud Light commercial over the summer, too. Travis Kelce.
Wow, I must have missed that one. Was he with Dylan Mulvaney?
He wasn't, but have you seen this meme going around about Travis Kelce? This is great.
Okay, show me. Is it regards to his Swiftie?
Oh, see this?
Explain to our listeners what that's a photo of.
It's a Taylor Swift
holding him up,
holding Travis Kelce up like against the locker and making out with him. Sort of a bit of a role reversal there for the 250-pound tight end.
It's getting old. Them showing cutaways of her.
Yeah.
This fake romance to try and get women to watch the NFL. But 2 million more women tuned in to the Jets-Chiefs games, they say, than normally would watch. So it's working, huh?
Yeah, and it's reminding me why Dan Proft is single too. But anyway,
back to
so Aaron Rodgers. It's just nice to see him still,
got a little edge to him.
Turning the knife a little bit on that too. Travis Kelce. I mean, somebody should inform Travis Kelce about the, whatever partnership with the CDC. That's really the play you want to make.
Being a Pfizer suck toy, that's what you want to do. Martha Stewart's doing it now.
Well, don't forget, he may go full Colin Kaepernick, Travis Kelce, because his new girlfriend or beau, maybe I don't know what you use. She's a leftist. She's a vacuous leftist.
Huge leftist.
Yeah, she doesn't know anything, so she just spouts what you're supposed to spout as a celebrity. And so the next thing you know, Travis Kelce is going to be kneeling down for the anthem.
So I know. I'm so worried about that. Very concerned.
All right, we got to get to other matters. Travis Kelce's just not that interesting. He's getting less so with each passing day. Trevor Bauer is a Major League Baseball pitcher, like all-star. Bauer has a Cy Young, doesn't he? Does Trevor Bauer have a Cy Young?
I'll find out. Played with the Dodgers, right?
Among others, yeah. He was accused of sexually assaulting a woman. And then there were pictures of this woman, battered and bruised.
I remember that.
And, then, of course, he was sidelined by Major League Baseball. And then other women came forward. So you say, oh, well, okay, I'm going to be a little skeptical. But then other women came forward and made similar allegations. Years, that were years ago, allegedly. These allegations are, I'm alleging something that allegedly happens. That happened years ago.
The media absolutely smeared Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
Days.
Here, June 13th, Trevor Bauer accused of sexual assault by fourth woman, and what people say, oh my gosh, we've got another Harvey Weinstein. Once you reach a certain critical mass of women making accusations, then you really lose any presumption of innocence, right? Never arrested or charged with anything.
Mm-mm. And remember, anybody can allege anything against you. Anybody can show a picture that might not be related to you in any shape, form, or way and destroy your career.
Well, he turned around and countersued his accuser, Trevor Bauer did. First of all, she was asking for $1 kajillion, and the judge found her not credible. 0. He countersued, and then the attorneys for her came back to him and were trying to get him to, now we weren't asking for money anymore. They were just asking for him to relent because, of course, she's judgment-proof, and they're not going to get paid. So this case isn't interesting to these rapacious trial lawyers anymore. These heroes for the little man. Yeah, plaintiffs' attorneys. I know they're a necessary evil. It's part of the justice system, but there are ways to corral them that we don't do in places like Illinois. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, but he was handed an unprecedented suspension, 324-game suspension.
Based on allegations.
Just on allegations, twice longer than the previous high under its domestic violence policy.
And again, the pressure gets more intense on these lily-livered league honchos when more women come forward. You don't want to lose the Taylor Swift fans, do you? Trevor Bauer, vindicated.
Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. A text Lindsey Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. What should I steal? She asked another, in reference to visiting my house for the first time. The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? I'm going to his house Wednesday, she said. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. Then, after the first time we met, net worth is 51 mil, she said. Bitch, you better secure the bag, was the response. But how is she going to do that? Need daddy to choke me out, she said. being an absolute whore to try to get in on his $51 million, read another text. Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, "You got to get this bag." "I'll give you $50,000, Lindsay replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, "Do you feel a tiny bit guilty?" "Not really," she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent. In August of 2021, Lindsay Hill's claims were heard in court. And during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsay Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us. After hearing the evidence available to her, Judge Diana Gold-Saltman found that Lindsay Hill had misled the court. She found her claims to be materially misleading. She denied her request for a domestic violence restraining order, and she found that no sexual assault or non-consensual conduct took place. Now, some of you might not know about restraining order hearings. I know I didn't, but I've since learned that it's extremely rare for a request for a restraining order to be denied because the standard of proof that you need to obtain one is extremely low. So you can make of that what you will. The fact is, I was never arrested. I was never charged with a crime, and I won the only legal proceeding that took place without my side of the story even being heard. And most importantly, as I've said from day one, I never sexually assaulted Lindsay Hill, or anyone else for that matter. So I sued her, which prompted her to countersue me. Quite frankly, regardless of the outcome in court, I've paid significantly more in legal fees than Lindsay Hill could ever pay me in her entire life. And I knew that would be the case going in. But the lawsuit was never about the money for me. It was the only way for me to obtain critical information to clear my name. The discovery process in that lawsuit recently concluded, at which point Lindsay Hill's legal team again came to us with another proposal to resolve the case. This time, however, they weren't seeking any money from me. Having received much of the information that had been hidden from us, a small portion of which I've referenced here, I was willing to agree to the terms proposed. Both parties would drop their respective lawsuits, and neither of us would pay either side any money. I also retained my right to speak publicly about the case, something I have not been at liberty to do since June of 2021. So, as of today, both lawsuits have been settled. Now, over the last 2 years, I've been forced to defend my integrity and my reputation in a very public setting. But hopefully this is the last time I have to do so, as I'd prefer to just remain focused on doing my job, winning baseball games and entertaining fans around the world. So today, I'm happy to be moving on with my life.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line, the old Ray Donovan, where did I go to get my reputation back? Well, This is the start of it, and people who reported on all of the allegations, the tabloids and so forth, and all the people that, of course, were playing judge, jury, and executioner with respect to Trevor Bauer should amplify what you just heard from him, the video that he posted that lays the case out and the holdings in courts of law. And by the way, he was a Cy Young award. He won the Cy Young with the Reds.
Yeah. But I'm just sick at the MLB for what they did, like immediately. Absolutely giving him the unprecedented suspension of a lifetime, 324 games, which eventually they shortened to 194 games. But they shouldn't have suspended him at all. What about due process? He doesn't have a right to that? I mean, come on. And then the other ladies that came forward, saying, oh, no, he assaulted me back, 10 years ago, blah, blah, blah. Stop it. It's getting old, and it hurts the real victims out there.
Well, not only that, it victimizes somebody that apparently did nothing wrong, certainly nothing illegal. And, Trevor Bauer has made all kinds of money because he's a good pitcher. So a year and a half of lost compensation, which will probably be clawed back at this point, particularly if he I don't know. I don't know what the collective bargaining agreement holds, but that's sort of secondary. The point here is to say that a year and a half of his finite career, particularly as a pitcher, that you can't get back. And and
he's been pitching in Japan, but it's not the same.
You can't get that. I mean, it's almost, it's like Roy Hobbs being shot by the Black Widow. I mean, you can't get it back. And so maybe this is going to be a cautionary tale. I doubt it based on the culture, but at least Trevor Bauer is trying to help us make it a cautionary tale. And by the way, it's taking it in very good humor because, of course, this vindication is not going to get near the amplification as the accusations did. But maybe this will be a cautionary tale for people to pump the brakes on some of these allegations, even when one woman making a false allegation prompts others to make allegations that certainly, I don't know if they were true or false, but they certainly weren't followed up with in terms of any litigation. They weren't proven in a court of law. They didn't result in an arrest. So you make your own, you draw your own suppositions about that.
And
maybe we just pump the brakes a little bit on this. Not every dude is a predator, and not every accuser turns out to be a victim. How many times do we have to see sort of race-based hoax to appreciate that people that making accusations can often be the bad actor?
Would she Jussie Smollett herself in the face?
Clay, Libertyville.
Morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, Dan, first, I heard you mention Joe Stone crab and seafood earlier this show. You have to try the fried chicken from Joe's.
Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah, I've been
there.
It'll
change your life.
Yeah.
It'll change. Wow, life-changing. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very big life-changing. And if he went after her in civil court and sued her as well, on the back end, why doesn't he turn around and sue the MLB as well for this whole thing? I mean, that's defamation of name, loss of income. There's, why isn't he turned around and sued MLB, to prevent this from happening for other players?
Well, I hear you. That's why I say I don't know the terms of the collective bargaining agreement, what the protocol is, if there's an allegation made such that it's an automatic suspension pending the outcome of the investigation and any trial and so forth. So I don't know, but I'm certainly, certainly I would explore that if I were him, as well as any compensation he did not receive that he would otherwise have received per contract with the team he was with at the time was the Dodgers. So yeah, I'm sure his agent is looking into that. You can guarantee it with the profile that Bauer had. Bill in Waukegan.
Hey, Dan and Amy, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to say that I wish the Sox would give this guy a chance. I mean, everything's there to gain and nothing to lose by giving this guy the opportunity. Bringing him back and let him clear his name and let him be the professional that he is. I love that speech. I mean, and I feel sorry for the guy that he had to endure this kind of treatment from a woman that just pointed a finger at him just to solely get money. Period. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call, Bill.
I'm really glad that he didn't settle because his attorneys came up to him multiple times and said, let's just settle this. And he said, no, I did not punch her. I did not touch her. And he stood his ground. So good for him.
And just to be clear, what you heard from him was reading text messages that were not initially turned over in discovery, but they ultimately somehow obtained. And it was her text messages to friends and co-conspirators, if you will.
Women are evil. And this is why you're single.
By the way, she should also be, in addition to, talking about Trevor Bauer and compensation, she should be
in jail.
She should be prosecuted for filing a false criminal report and so forth, and also for defrauding the civil court. Marty, Naperville.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Hey, if this guy wants to get back into Major League Baseball, be anonymous, make a ton of money, and never win another game, he should sign with the White Sox. That's what happens to every other pitcher.
So hard, but it's hard to disagree after a 100-loss season.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Hey, this is Brant along with Sherry here. And so you hear me doing these spots for MediShare, and Sherry actually helps me with them. I get people actually in person saying, okay, Brant, for real, do you recommend this? Like, yeah. For real, I actually do. I'm not just saying stuff. So family, friends ask me about it. I'm like, yes, you should look into this. It's really a great option for a lot of people.
That's what I tell people. My experience has been, Medishare has been fantastic for me.
Yeah.
It's so different from health insurance in a lot of great ways, honestly.
Yeah, and see, a lot of people who've switched tell me that. It's the same reaction. They're very, very happy with it, and it gives them peace of mind and saves them a lot of money.
I would tell people, look into it.
Yep. So really, for reals, if you want to talk to them, they're great to talk to. I think you'll be impressed and happy you looked into it. So you do the phone number. I'm actually tired of doing all the phone numbers.
Okay.
Call now.
844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
Nice job.
Thanks.
You know, I've got a parenting tip, or not a parenting
How
tip,
about a dating tip?
Or life lesson. Watch who you bang. Don't drag anyone. I mean, she might be good looking, but she could have ulterior motives.
Yeah.
And be a hoe bag.
All right.
This person should be in jail. We should talk Trevor into filing charges.
Amy Jacobson's first dating tip. Watch who you bang. Wonderful.
The end.
It's so elegant in its simplicity.
It's very Mount Prospect.
Very unvarnished. Is that what you've told Peyton and Eli?
Yeah. Watch who you bang. Oh, no, especially in college. I'm like, if they say no, you say yes, ma'am, and you run out the door. Because if there's any moment at all, it could ruin their entire careers. They could get thrown out of their frat. They can get thrown out of the university.
Don't even talk to them. Put one of those halos around like dogs, so they don't.
Oh, the cone.
Yeah,
the cone of
so they
shame.
can't even see. They can only see straight ahead.
All right. Hey, listen, we're going to shift gears here because I want to know if you're tired of the heat and humidity, but more importantly, the musty, damp odor that slaps you in the face when you walk in your front door. Well, the air from your basement or crawl space will permeate up into your living space. Do you know that the air in your home can be up to 5 times more polluted than the air outside? Permaseal can help with that. Their PermaDry air filtration and dehumidification system controls humidity and cleans the air. It prevents the increase of mold spores and removes them. Not only does it remove mold spores and allergens and excess humidity, but it can also purify the air throughout your entire home. And the best part is you can save up to $200 a year in electricity costs over that store-bought portables. You know, when you turn it on, you can see your lights flicker. Don't let that happen. Get the one from Permaseal, and you'll save yourself about $200 a year on those electricity costs. Be sure to ask about their crawl space encapsulation and clean space basement, too, when they come over to give you your free estimate. And the number to call to schedule your free estimate, 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
Is life sciences your lifetime passion? If so, you could have the career of a lifetime. Automated Systems is searching for you. If you have experience in any of the following areas: industrial automation, PLC, HMI programming, equipment, facility, process, or packaging engineering, commissioning, validation, project management, tech transfer, quality assurance, FDA compliance and auditing, you'll love any of these positions. Understanding the pharmaceutical and medical device industry trends and regulatory requirements is essential. Automated Systems is hungry for people with analytical and problem-solving skills. Automated Systems also promotes work-life balance with flexible work arrangements and competitive benefits so your career can soar while you're enjoying a fulfilling personal life. Don't miss this chance to make a difference and do what you do best. Go to HireASI.com now. That's HireASI.com to explore an incredible career with Automated Systems Incorporated.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Harvard medical professor Martin Kulldorff, our friend from the COVID era, joins us at 6:36. It's still going on because he and Jay Bhattacharya and others are still fighting the federal censors and winning. 6:36 with Dr. Martin Kulldorff.
I can't wait to hear what winning looks like. But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:32, some light rain, 68 degrees. No one injured at midnight. No damage on the ground either that we've been able to see so far as video comes in of a FedEx 757 whose landing gear failed and it crashed again at midnight at Chattanooga Regional Airport in Tennessee. Plane skidded off the end of the runway and stopped just before rolling into a street. 3 pilots on board were not hurt. Congressman from Ohio jumping into the House Speaker's race this morning.
Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan is running for Speaker of the House. The chairman of the House Judiciary Committee told reporters Wednesday that he's officially running after Kevin McCarthy was ousted from the role in a historic vote on Tuesday. Jordan is a key figure in the impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden and one of Donald Trump's top allies on Capitol Hill. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise is also expected to jump into the race for the speakership. The House is on recess at the moment, but a speaker election could be held as soon as next Wednesday. I'm Taryn Johnson.
Hundreds of Michigan Ford workers are being told not to report to work today. Ford says the layoffs are for 350 employees at a transmission plant and 50 other workers at an axle plant. Sue Murphy is a 27-year Ford veteran.
We're fighting for the next generation either way. So, it's not about do we have a choice. We don't have a choice, We're out here for the long haul, whether we like it or not.
Those two factories are being idled because they make parts for the Chicago assembly plant. Morgan State University in Baltimore canceling almost all of its homecoming week activities following Tuesday night shooting.
I have canceled classes here at Morgan for tomorrow, and we will be assessing what will happen for the rest of the homecoming week as early as tomorrow morning, and will duly inform you and others of any decisions that we make in that regard.
Morgan State President David Wilson. Round 2 of Japan's release of radioactive wastewater from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant is now underway. The embattled director of the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services is stepping down, but not until the end of the year. Mark Smith took over in 2019, his tenure marred with controversy, being held in contempt of court at least a dozen times for the agency's failure to properly care for or protect children. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is planning to visit the U.S. southern border. It comes as a group of residents in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood are suing in an effort to stop the city from housing migrants in public buildings like the old South Shore High School.
Parks are not being parked where kids can go and play, and police stations are not policing. All of them have one thing in common. What's that? They are hotels and shelters.
The group initially filed suit in May, dropped that suit, but now has decided to take further legal action. 2 long-standing dorms will be demolished and replaced on campus at the University of Notre Dame. Pangborn and Fisher halls will each be torn down next August, and new dorms will be built where they currently stand. Commanders and Bears in a primetime showdown Thursday night football this evening, while the Fire were 4-1 winners over Inter Miami at Soldier Field. Blackhawks take on the Wild in the NHL preseason tonight. The News, a service of Health Insurance Mentors. Call Stephen Tucker today for free Medicare advice. Visit healthinsurancementors.com, 630-671-1551, healthinsurancementors.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard, Tom Mirabali, independent insurance agent with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, and by overheaddoorchicago.com.
Do you hear the crowd cheering as the ball hits the hardwood floor? This is the moment. With only 5 seconds left on the clock, you pull up for the game-winning shot. You watch it soar through the air, just for it to fall short because of the exhaustion from playing all night. Don't let this be you. Fuel your body with whole fruits and vegetables to play hard through the night and end the game with a swish. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Hey there, Charlie Kirk here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and I talking about investing with Y Refi for a while now. You may have some questions, so let's review. It's true, you can earn up to 10.25% fixed rate of return that's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You could turn your income on or off, compound it whatever you choose, and there are absolutely no fees. There's no attack on principal if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investyrefi.com. That's invest the letter Y and then refy.com, or call 888-YREFY24. Folks, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investyrefi.com. That's invest the letter Y and then refy.com, or call 888-YREFY24 and tell them that Charlie Kirk sent you. So call 888-YREFY24. Solid investment. It really helps people. Call 888-YREFY24 and tell them that Charlie Kirk sent you.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
6:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Indeed.com. Interview and hire candidates easily. Sponsor a job and instantly receive a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit. We'll start in Bartlett this morning where there's an accident. Army Trail Road and Route 59, 8094. Headed toward northwest Indiana. Bad accident, 2 left lanes blocked. Westbound 8094 between Klein and the Illinois-Indiana state line. Jammed up on the Jane Addams westbound between Route 72, that's Gilbert's, to right past Powers Road, where there is a semi-fire. Fire is out, but 3 lanes remain blocked there as ongoing emergency work continues to remove that from the roadway. You're getting by on the right-hand shoulder, and traffic is jammed eastbound because 1 left lane is blocked to help with the westbound semi-fire. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy this morning, still some light rain passing through the area. You may see the sun break out this afternoon, a high of 74. Cooler and a low of 52 overnight. 68 right now. Next news at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Mr. 10%, the big guy, President Biden, sat down for a softball interview where he was spoon-fed questions for his pre-prepared answers by John Harwood. One of them was on misinformation. Oh, the scourge of misinformation and what to do about it. And this is in part a way for the president to cover his tracks politically, if not legally, cover his tracks politically with respect to the unconstitutional First Amendment infringements made by social media companies at the behest of government. And again, the government cannot compel someone to middleman infringements upon people's constitutional rights. That's what happened. That's not me saying it. That's the Fifth Circuit saying it. The administration appealed the initial decision in federal court on the Missouri v. Biden case, in which the district court judge Terry Doherty issued a broad preliminary injunction against all government agencies. They appealed that. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ultimately said this, didn't go the way that the regime thought it might. The plaintiffs alleged that federal officials ran afoul of the First Amendment by coercing and significantly encouraging social media platforms to censor disfavored speech, including by threats of adverse government action like antitrust enforcement and legal reforms. We agree. We agree that the government did that. We agree that through CISA, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, and all the other alphabet soup agencies, and all that we know thanks to the Twitter files reporting, federal officials ran afoul of the First Amendment by coercing and significantly encouraging social media platforms to censor disfavored speech. Not misinformation, disfavored information. And that's what somebody like Biden means when he says misinformation. That's the Orwellian term for disfavored information. They don't like it. It's not untrue. They just don't like that it is true. And they don't want anybody like it either. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals goes on. The government cannot abridge free speech. A private party, on the other hand, bears no such burden. That changes, though, when a private party is coerced or significantly encouraged by the government to such a degree that its quote-unquote choice, which if made by the government, would be unconstitutional. And the decision goes from there. Well, parties to this Missouri v. Biden case brought by state attorneys general are friends of ours from the Great Barrington Declaration days, like Jay Bhattacharya and Sunetra Gupta, although I don't know if she's a party to this or not, but I know that Martin Kulldorff and Jay Bhattacharya are, and we're pleased to be joined again. It's been a minute. Happy to have him back. Dr. Martin Kulldorff is a professor of medicine at Harvard University on leave and fellow of the Academy for Science and Freedom, a Hillsdale College initiative to restore integrity and trust in science and public health. Martin Kulldorff, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it. Do we have
Mr. Kulldorff, are you there? Hello, hello.
Okay, I guess we'll take a break and see if we can raise Martin Kulldorff. Oh, he's there. Do we have him? Hello? No, we don't. Okay, we'll take that break.
Oh, wait, there he is.
Good morning. There he is. Okay.
Christmas Day miracle.
Hey, Martin Kulldorff. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good morning. Great to be with you.
So you've got to be pretty encouraged by the holdings in the case against the Biden administration for censoring the comments, for directing social media companies to censor comments from you and Jay Bhattacharya and others.
Yes, it's very encouraging. The district federal court came up with a ruling on July 4th, and then later the Fifth Circuit of Appeal confirmed that, so that they explicitly instructed that the White House, the Attorney General, the CDC, FBI, and CISA cannot engage in this kind of activity where they coerce social media companies to do censoring of free speech. And it's not just Twitter, it's Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and so on.
And just to refresh people's recollections, give us some context, some examples of the kind of censorship that was inflicted upon you and your colleagues like Jay Bhattacharya.
Well, one was when I was advocating for schools to open during the pandemic because there was no scientific basis for it, and this was very damaging to children. Twitter put me on a trans blacklist so that message wouldn't get out. When I pointed out that masks have none or minimal efficacy, it's therefore very dangerous to tell people that masks make them safe, because then older people who are at risk of COVID will go out in crowded places thinking they are protected by the mask when they're not. So actually over-emphasizing the efficacy of masks is very dangerous. It's a very bad public health message, but that was not allowed to say those things.
And now they're pushing.
When I argued against vaccinating children for COVID, who are at minuscule risk from COVID, but there can be some adverse reactions to the vaccines, and when I said that vaccines are important for older people who haven't had COVID, but people who've had COVID, they have immunity, so they don't need it. When I said those things, which are sort of basic scientific facts, again, I was censored.
Wow. And now they're pushing this new booster for kids 6 months and older. And what do we know? Have they done any study groups on this new vaccine?
No, there's no good studies on it. And in Europe, they're not vaccinating kids with boosters. So in Europe, they're only doing the older people. For some reason, the U.S. have decided to try to push this boost on children, which I don't understand why.
Yeah, I mean they're not in Europe, as I understand it, from at least the Scandinavian countries. They're not encouraging anybody to get boosted under the age of 50.
Yeah, I think the age might be slightly different countries, but only the older people are encouraged to get the boosters. Yeah.
And so, what is the? I know with Musk taking over Twitter or X, it's a different story there, but it's not a different story at these other social media companies that were encouraged and compliant, I suppose, with federal government censorship of views that were disfavored, not misinformation, disfavored. Can't say that enough. What's it like now? I mean, do you see any indications? I don't know where you post, or have you heard from colleagues about improvements in allowing disfavored speech on other platforms that you or your colleagues use in addition to Musk's platform?
So it's a big difference in Twitter. On other platforms, I think that they have been more careful now with Missouri versus Biden. But there are still problems. I'm very careful with what I write, for example, of LinkedIn, and so I self-censor myself on LinkedIn. I don't self-censor myself on Twitter anymore.
So LinkedIn, the professional networking social media platform, if you will, which is leftist as well. You self-censor because you know that if you cross these lines, LinkedIn is going to without any government and not needing the behest of the government is going to come in and marginalize you.
Yes, at one point I was suspended by LinkedIn, and then there was some media attention to it, so they reinstated me, I think, a week later. But I know that could happen again, so I'm
Dr. Kuldorff, are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, you faded out there. But yeah, I mean, Reid Hoffman is one of the under-discussed tech billionaires, the founder of LinkedIn, who's just as far left as Zuckerberg or Jack Dorsey before Musk and these others, too, happy to do the bidding of the government. But that's interesting. So in the wake of the attention that this case, Missouri v. Biden, is getting and the vindication that you have enjoyed thus far in the legal proceedings, what do your colleagues say, or do they just not talk to you anymore? The colleagues who disagreed with you.
Yeah, so they haven't commented on this case. No.
And
they don't.
And what's the environment now? I mean, if you say something like you just said about Europe is only advocating boosters for older people, and America's doing this, and there's not really any scientific data or trials to support this with respect to pushing boosters 6 months and up. Do you still get the opprobrium of your colleagues in public health, or have they relented? What's the dynamic like after all of what has transpired, after the now almost daily stories of the devastating impacts that lockdowns and other bad COVID-related responses induced? What's the environment in the scientific community, the public health community?
So with the scientists, colleagues that I know personally and that I work with personally, I have never had any problems. Most of them agree with me, but they have been silent. The problem has been the leadership in the science, like the heads of CDC and FDA and NIH and the editors of the big journals and the university professors and deans, the university presidents and deans. And there is still a problem because I think that they are starting slowly to realize that they were wrong about many things. And they're trying to backtrack on school closures. And I think they will in the future, they're going to start trying to backtrack on other things. But they have not relented, and they still sort of stubbornly think that they were right. So,
well, do you have any opinion about the new CDC director, Mandy Cohen?
So I won't comment on that. I think that the older CDC director was the two previous ones were problematic. Rochelle Walensky, she, for example, she questioned whether there was natural immunity after COVID infection. We've known about natural immunity since the Athenian plague in 430 BC, so for about 2,500 years.
Well, we don't want to rush to judgment.
No,
on
not
that.
at all. And what are your thoughts on Dr. Fauci?
Oh, I think what he did during this pandemic was terrible, and he is a lab scientist, so he doesn't really know about public health, and he doesn't understand the basic principles of public health. For example, in one principle of public health is you cannot focus on only one disease, like COVID, and that was the focus. And then there was these lockdowns, and they were ineffective against COVID. They might postpone something a little bit, but they can never prevent the pandemic and everybody getting infected. But it created a lot of collateral damage on other aspects of public health, like cancer treatments and cardiovascular disease, diabetes, mental health. So these are things that we are now living with, and we're going to live with them for a long time. So somebody who, for example, didn't get her cervical cancer screening during the pandemic might now die 2 years from now instead of living another 15 years. So these are things that we're going to have to try to somehow mitigate, but it's going to be impossible to do completely. And we're going to have excess mortality because of these lockdowns for a number of years.
So he has to be one of these two things. I wonder which one you think he is. Was he incompetent or was he a villain? I'm talking about Fauci.
Well, he certainly doesn't understand public health as a lab scientist. So I'm sure he knows his field of virology and immunology, but he certainly doesn't understand public health. And if you don't, you have to have enough knowledge of yourself that you don't voice your view on things that you're not very knowledgeable about. But I think he got enamored by himself, being on the media all the time and saying things that were complete nonsense during the pandemic.
Do the colleagues that you speak with who quietly agree with you also quietly agree with you about Fauci? Do people get the joke on Fauci in the scientific community, even if they won't say it publicly?
Many don't. Some do, but many don't. Many still, people in infectious disease epidemiology, I think they understand that he doesn't understand public health. But there are many people in other areas of science, they're not experts in this area either. So they just thought that he was an expert because the media keeps saying that he was the foremost infectious disease expert in the country.
So they just
sort of...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
He knows about one small thing of infectious disease, but he doesn't understand the infectious disease epidemiology.
So while they're rationalizing their own conduct, they're sort of rationalizing his. As he was an expert, he did the best he can in difficult circumstances, and we'll just leave it at that.
I think that's an attitude by many people, unfortunately.
He is Dr. Martin Kulldorff, professor of medicine at Harvard University on Lee, fellow of the Academy for Science and Freedom, Hillsdale College Initiative to restore integrity and trust in science and public health. That's a big undertaking. And Martin Kulldorff, thanks for joining us again, and continued success in court with this case to fight back the censors.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a wonderful day in Chicago.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It happens every year. Winter. Delivering and receiving supplies and getting people where they need to go can be impossible. Keeping your business doors and gates working properly to keep out the extreme weather is a major concern. Your business can't afford a loss of income or productivity. Think ahead this winter and call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. for your commercial door maintenance and security tune-up now. You can't always plan when your doors break down, and it always seems to come at the least convenient time. Industrial Door Company will ensure your doors, grills, gates, and dock equipment are working to specification and give you advice on how to increase the life of your doors. Go online to see a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com. Call anytime, 847-258-5620. Their team will be there before the extreme cold weather causes financial losses for your company and assist in your time of need. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business.
Do you hear the crowd cheering as the ball hits the hardwood floor? This is the moment. With only 5 seconds left on the clock, you pull up for the game-winning shot. You watch it soar through the air, just for it to fall short because of the exhaustion from playing all night. Don't let this be you. Fuel your body with whole fruits and vegetables to play hard through the night and end the game with a swish. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Who will the House Republicans select as their next speaker? Well, Representative Jim Banks from Indiana, who's running for U.S. Senate there, he has a choice, and he'll tell us who it is and why he's made this choice at 7:07.
And vroom, 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 NASCAR returning to Chicago, but was it worth it the first time around? Now let's catch up with the news. Here's Mike Scott.
An embattled Illinois DCFS leader is resigning. Mayor Johnson says he'll go to the southern border. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
He wants an apology from President Biden. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump posted that on social media, writing, he's watching them break every environmental law in the book to prove he was right, building border wall. Reacting to this.
The Biden administration is lifting 26 federal laws to fast-track construction of the border wall in Texas. Now, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas announced the move yesterday, saying, quote, there is presently an acute and immediate need to construct physical barriers and roads in the vicinity of the border of the United States in order to prevent unlawful entries into the country.
That's Fox's Brooke Sigmund. They'll build wall along 17 miles of border in Texas following a record surge of migrants crossing illegally into the U.S. last month and in the just ended last fiscal year. Today, the Secretary of State and Attorney General are in Mexico for talks on slowing migration. President Biden, meanwhile, will meet with his national security team focused on helping stop Russia's war in Ukraine. Ukraine's president's gone to Spain asking for more help.
Leaders from more than 40 countries are in Spain as cracks begin to show in the pro-Ukraine alliance. And President Joe Biden's trouble getting an aid package through Congress is being followed very closely. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says President Biden has assured her of American support.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. The House remains in recess till next week, considering who will replace ousted Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Congressman Tim Burchett is one of the 8 Republicans who joined Democrats voting McCarthy out, and he tells the Fox News Rundown podcast,
I didn't come here to make friends with these folks up here. This is a swamp, and it is real, and it is very contagious. And that's why we are $33 trillion in debt.
Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise are leading candidates to replace McCarthy. I have bad news. You didn't win the Powerball jackpot. I didn't either. Now the good news. We have another chance Saturday, and the prize has grown to $1.4 billion. America's listening to Fox News.
Rain showers and 68 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. The embattled director of the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services is stepping down. The governor announced Mark Smith will resign, but not until the end of the year. Smith's tenure was marred with controversy, being held in contempt of court at least a dozen times for agency failures. State Representative Charlie Meyer says it's taken way too long to defend the state's children.
This administration repeatedly turns its backs on fixing the problems, tries to sugarcoat them. Look at how many times the Auditor General's come in stating reports against DCFS.
The governor's office also quietly announced shakeups at the Department of Health Care, the Department of Aging and the Department of Financial and Professional Regulation yesterday, but those agency heads were simply replaced by Pritzker administration insiders. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is planning to visit the U.S. southern border.
We still have public safety that we have to address. We still have the unhoused that we have to address. I still have a budget that I have to address. And I'm doing all of that with a black wife raising 3 black children on the west side of the city of Chicago. I am going to the border as soon as possible.
Meantime, a group of residents in the South Shore neighborhood are suing in an effort to stop the city from housing migrants in public buildings.
Parks are not being parked where kids can go and play, and police stations are not policing. All of them have one thing in common. What's that? They are hotels and shelters.
A lawsuit was filed last week against the city, the mayor, and CPS. Dozens of former Signature Room workers allege the owner of the now shuttered iconic Chicago restaurant broke the law.
We are here today with one simple request that the Signature Room follow the law.
Unite One Hospitality Union officials allege the restaurant broke the federal WARN Act. Workers are suing for back pay and other benefits. Wisconsin State Superintendent of Schools said yesterday a bill restricting rights of transgender youth will end up killing children. Superintendent Jill Underly told lawmakers yesterday that a pair of proposals in Madison are anti-trans and dangerous. Republican State Representative Barb Dietrich is proposing 2 plans that would keep girls and women's sports for girls and women only. Commanders and Bears on Thursday Night Football. At Soldier Field, it was the Fire, 4-1 winners over Inter Miami. Jordan Shaqiri with a brace for the Fire. Baseball, MLB wildcard round complete. Diamondbacks, Twins, Phillies, and Rangers all swept their best-of-3 playoff series. Better luck to the Brew Crew next year. The news, a service of Advanced Design Studio. Thinking of a home renovation but aren't sure where to begin? Check out Common Sense Remodeling with Advanced Design Studio online. AdvancedDesignStudio.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum wants honesty from politicians.
Whether I trust him 100% or not, or whether I think he's genuine about certain things is irrelevant to me. I just think he was a great president. The man was putting in policies, everybody was winning. So by and large, I think Trump did a lot of great things. And that's why I voted for him, and I voted for him twice. I just wish these people would just be honest, man, and not like be beating around the bush because they feel like they caught up in something.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Grubhub Holdings Incorporated seeks a senior software engineer in Chicago, Illinois, to improve the existing Diners loyalty platform, as well as design a new architecture that meets the scalability and reliability requirements. Telecommuting permitted within the United States. Apply jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 94800. Again, Grubhub Holdings Incorporated seeks a senior software engineer in Chicago, Illinois. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 94800.
Bring smiles to all when shopping online with Dell Technologies Gift Guide. Whether it's for the artist, the entrepreneur, the student, or the streamer, you'll find the perfect gift for everyone on your list. Dell.com/gift guide makes gifting easy with a carefully curated selection of our best tech. Shop now to explore our innovative PCs like the XPS 13 laptop, powered by the latest Intel Core processors, plus this season's top accessories. Visit Dell.com/gift guide today to get a jump on your holiday gift list. That's Dell.com/gift guide.
Democrats just want to win the next election, and they're trying to do it with ceaseless money printing. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. It is critical to protect your retirement right now with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. Text the word PROTECT to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Do you hear the crowd cheering as the ball hits the hardwood floor? This is the moment. With only 5 seconds left on the clock, you pull up for the game-winning shot. You watch it soar through the air, just for it to fall short because of the exhaustion from playing all night. Don't let this be you. Fuel your body with whole fruits and vegetables to play hard through the night and end the game with a swish. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
.708, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center Time is a service of My Pillow. My Pillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock for a limited time. Get 50% savings with promo code LIBERTY. 37 on the inbound Edens, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, an hour 12 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike inbound right now, it's an hour 390 into the old post office. Stevenson, it's an hour 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 36 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Still solid traffic on the Jane Addams westbound between Thoreau Road to past Powers. There is an extinguished fire. They're shoving that semi off right now, but 3 lanes remain blocked. You're getting by only on the right-hand shoulder. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Andy Robb.
Bit of rain to start today, then sunshine and clouds by the afternoon. Today's high 74. Mainly clear for tonight, low 52. And for Friday, breezy with clouds and sun, an afternoon shower, the high 61. I'm Andy Robb on AM 560, The Answer.
68 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Trump asked about, the political fantasy leagues that are set up when something like what happened with McCarthy happens. Who's going to be the next speaker? I like this guy. You like that guy. Let's think out of the box. How about Trump? Trump addressed that prospect about him being selected speaker because, of course, you don't need to be a member of Congress to be installed as speaker. He did that before entering a New York City courtroom for day 3 of his civil trial, and he said this.
A lot of people have been calling me about speaker. All I can say is we'll do whatever's best for the country and for the Republican Party. Would you take the job? Great people. I just want to say we have some great people. Would you take the job? A lot of people have asked me about it. I'm focused. We're leading. I don't know you. I'm sure you don't read too much in the papers, but we're leading by like 50 points for president. My focus is totally on that. If I can help them during the process, I would do it. But we have some great people in the Republican Party that could do a great job as speaker.
Yeah, that's a no. That's a no. So
a hard no or a possible?
That's a no. It's just let's stop being silly. It's not going to be Trump. It's going to be a member of the House Republican Caucus. It makes no sense for Trump to even, just from Trump's perspective, makes no sense for him to consider it while he's running for president and leading the field, lapping the field, really, for the Republican nomination. I mean, it's just grist for the mill. It's, fodder for the chattering classes. But it's going to be Jim Jordan or Steve Scalise, maybe Byron Donalds, but I guess Jordan or Scalise. That'd be my guess. But it's not going to be Trump. Trump also took the time after day 3 of the civil trial in New York City, this absurd trial.
So stupid.
And he had sort of an injustice for all moment in describing what's going on in the courtroom and, again, providing the context rather than worrying about the details of this silly case. He focused on the essentially political and electoral play that the forces of the left are making here with frivolous cases like this.
Today, if you read the New York Law Journal, they basically say they have no case against Trump. But I'm here, stuck here, and I can't campaign. I'd rather be right now in Iowa. I'd rather be in New Hampshire or South Carolina or Ohio or a lot of other places, but I'm stuck here because I have a corrupt attorney general that communicates with the DOJ in Washington to keep me nice and busy because I'm leading Biden in the polls by a lot. That's all this is. This is election interference. They made up a fake case. They're fraudulent people. And the judge already knows what he's going to do. He's a Democrat judge. In all fairness to him, he has no choice. He has no choice. He's run by the Democrats. I know this city better than anybody knows this city. There's nobody knows it like I do. He's a Democrat judge out of the clubhouses. He's controlled, and it's a shame. What's going on here is a shame. Our whole system is corrupt. This is corrupt. Atlanta is corrupt. And what's coming out of D.C. is corrupt. But this is a good one because this one is interesting. This one is very interesting. Why attend? Because I want to point it out to the press how corrupt it is, because nobody else seems to be able to do it. New York Law Journal today did a very good job.
Yeah, he should be there to do exactly what he's doing, point out the corruption of it. This is when people say, what is lawfare? This is an example of lawfare. This is harassment by litigation, harassment by legal complaint. The punishment is the litigation, regardless of outcome. By the way, after that, he had a little bit more.
You're out of order. You're out of order. The whole trial is out of order. They're out of order. You son of a bitch, You're supposed to stand for something. You're supposed to protect people.
I tell you, Trump does a great Pacino.
He does.
Yeah.
And for lunch, by the way, he went and bought a bunch of burgers and fries from where? Other than McDonald's, and gave them a lot of business, and they were happy to have it. Just in case you were wondering.
For more on all this, not lunch, but the other topics, Jim Banks, U.S. Representative for Indiana's 3rd. He's running for the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate to replace the retiring Mike Braun, who is running for governor of Indiana, as Hoosiers know. And we in Illinois know, too. Representative Banks, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. Good to be with you.
So on the speakership, you tweeted out who you think should be the next speaker, and who is that?
Well, I don't think we can afford to keep doing what we've been doing. Don't elevate all of the same people that have been a part of the train wreck of the past 9 months. We need to try something different. We need a new face, a new leader, a bold conservative, and that choice is obvious to me. That's got to be Jim Jordan from Ohio. He's been a fighter for a long time on the conservative issues. Whenever there's a fight in the Congress, he's not just in the middle of it. He's leading those fights. He's a great communicator. He can rally Republicans and unite us moving forward to defeat the radical left. That's why he has my full support. There are other good people who are out there, but the Democrats aren't afraid of them. They fear Jim Jordan because they know he's effective. They know he's strong. They know he doesn't back down. He's the obvious choice to me.
Well, on his heels is Stephen Scalise. I mean, he reached out in a lengthy letter to colleagues. I don't know if you received it, but just touting, his pitch for unity and his work as number 2 House Republican. Quote, my leadership style I've displayed as your majority leader and whip. I have a proven track record of bringing together the diverse array of viewpoints within our conference to build consensus, whether others thought it impossible. Does that move you at all, the letter that he sent?
Look, I really like him. I respect him. He's been the number 2 guy, the number 3 guy for a long time. I just think we have to do something different. I mean, this is what's happened at this point is embarrassing for our Congress. It's embarrassing for the Republican Party. We need a new, bold leader, a new face leading us forward, who understands what time it is, who knows what is at stake. Our country, the radical left is destroying our country, and we have to fight back, and we need a fighter to do that. That's why I think Jim Jordan, he's chairman of the Judiciary Committee, he's leading our oversight efforts to hold Joe Biden and the Biden family, the Biden administration accountable, providing oversight of the administration. He was the leader of the largest conservative caucus, the Republican Study Committee that I chaired last term, the founder of the Freedom Caucus. He's got a big heart. He's a great communicator, and he's the strong leader that we need in a time like this. So I'm really glad he's running. I didn't know if he was going to run or not, but he announced yesterday morning that he is indeed running, and he's building a lot of support from all corners of the Republican conference, and I'm going to do everything I can to help him win.
Well, that would be certainly a nice way to salvage what otherwise has been a bit ugly. I just wonder what your comment is. I think Jim Jordan is probably more generally talented than Kevin McCarthy, but Kevin McCarthy wasn't without his talents, and I actually, even though I had relatively low expectations for him, I think he actually did a pretty good job in the context of the power distribution inside the Beltway. And so how did you view the 8 Republicans who have provided this pathway to a Jim Jordan, shall we say?
Yeah, I voted against the CR last weekend that triggered Matt Gaetz calling for the motion to vacate, and I'm frustrated with it too. I mean, we can't keep spending at Biden, Pelosi, Chuck Schumer level spending that has us at a $2 trillion deficit, $33 trillion national debt. Today we pay more to pay down the interest of our debt than we invest overall on the budget for the whole Pentagon to keep our country safe and secure. So we're at a crisis point, but I'm also realistic about it. This is important to recognize. We have a 5-seat Republican majority, and we had one guy from Utah who quit, so now we're down to a 4-seat majority. And at any given point in the nursing home that is the United States Congress, you have some of these old-time members who don't show up or can't show up or aren't able to physically get to the floor. So that 5-seat, 4-seat majority dwindles at any given point. The Democrats have the Senate. They own the White House. We have to be realistic about our expectations and set down clear goals and clear markers about securing our border, addressing inflation and addressing the energy crisis in this country, putting America first over the interest of the rest of the world. Jim Jordan is that communicator who understands how to set the stage for a fight and understand what's reasonable and what we can achieve, but at the same time recognize the voters gave us a majority. They gave us this majority to be a check on Joe Biden and the Democrats who ran this country down the tubes over the last couple of years when they had full power of the Congress and the White House. They gave us this House Republican majority to be a check on it, to do something with it, and that's why I think we need a bold leader. Let me just say this as well. If every Democrat in the House can join 8 Republicans to take out the Republican Speaker of the House, then every Democrat in the House can join 8 other Republicans to pick a left-leaning unity-type Speaker of the House who's working with the Democrats to destroy our country rather than working against them. And that's what I fear in this moment. Republicans have to unify.
Exactly. Yeah, well, which is why the Gaetz play, in my view, was so ill-advised, because that's exactly the downside of this sort of hastily called and thinly planned move that Gaetz and company made. It just, not to mention, I mean, just in terms of the distraction, Dan Henninger pointing out in the Journal, this is at a time when the UAW is withholding their endorsement from Biden, the self-proclaimed most pro-union president in U.S. history, when, according to an NBC News poll, Republicans enjoy a 21-point advantage over Democrats with respect to voters' opinions about who they favor to deal with the economy. This is the point that former Speaker Gingrich made too, and a lot of others. I mean, you have the Democrats flailing, and you essentially impose a misdirection play on yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is a low point for our party, and now we have to regroup. unify, move forward. We need a leader who can rally us to do that, and that leader, obviously, to me, is Jim Jordan.
Yeah, and one thing I want to get to too on the, first on the House Judiciary, if you were elevated to Speaker, you do have some talented Republicans, because people say, well, he's doing such a good job with judiciary, weaponization of government, and the whole working with Smith and working with Comer. But you have like a Mike Johnson or a Tom Massey on the Judiciary Committee too, who I think could ably take over and continue the work. Is that your view?
Yeah, absolutely. There are strong conservatives that. This is one thing that Jim Jordan has done really well. He's elevated other conservatives around him to take leading roles in these investigations and the oversight efforts. So I'm not worried about finding a strong person to lead the Judiciary Committee. I just think picking a Speaker of the House is really important. It's really important in a time like this that we have a strong conservative Speaker of the House. And I've been in the House of Representatives now for 7 years, and this is the one moment where Republicans have to get this right. We can't just reshuffle the deck and elevate people who have been a part of this embarrassing moment. We need to do something different. We need a new face, a new leader, and when you look across the Republican conference, to me, it's just obvious who that should be.
Well, the other thing is you're running for Senate, and I was arguing from the beginning of this argument between Gates and a few others and McCarthy. This is an opportunity for both of them, Gates and McCarthy, to sort of put their personal disagreements aside and come together and say, look, challenge the American people. We control 1/2 of 1/3 of the government, and narrowly so. We got Republicans. Don't forget, America, 20 Senate Republicans signed on to the backdoor New Green Deal program, what they call the infrastructure spend, that funny money spend, print and spend. And so you got to send us better Republicans in the Senate. And, of course, then we need to expand our majority in the House, and we need to get the White House. And then we will do the things that we said we would do in terms of reining in Leviathan and reducing this 40% increase in the size of government just in the last 4 years. It's unbelievable. But it would have been such a good moment to challenge voters to reinforce what they understand to be true about sort of combine Republicans and obviously the Democrat Socialists. And it seems to me with Pierre Delecto on his way out finally, and Braun was good, but with you in the Senate too, we need some people to shake up the Senate there and these big government, big spending Senate Republicans that make the House Republican caucus's job that much more difficult.
Yeah, that's why I'm running for the United States Senate. I led the largest conservative caucus in Congress, and my frustrations, as much as they are with Democrats, are even more with the go-along to get along squishy Republicans in the Senate who vote for these bills. The Republicans who voted for the fake infrastructure bill, which was the Green New Deal in disguise, as you just said, who vote for big spending bills with the Democrats to send our country over the fiscal cliff. So we need conservative fighters in the Senate, and that's why I'm running hard in Indiana to be our next conservative fighter in the Senate, and it's going well. We have a long ways to go, but we're rallying support there because at this point, that's what we desperately need.
Jim Banks is currently Congressman for Indiana's 3rd, running for U.S. Senate, Republican nomination, and obviously the seat in Indiana to join Todd Young there. Todd Young needs some adult supervision too, by the way, if I may say. Jim Banks, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Dan Proft here for Willows Academy. Willows is an authentically Catholic all-girls school that supports traditional values. For nearly 50 years, Willows has partnered with families in the Chicagoland area to educate young women who will change the world. How do they do it? The school develops virtue, intellectual clarity, and confidence in students so they live the values that have made America great. With all the pressure on girls from society and social media to conform, Willows offers your daughter a supportive environment that helps her understand and live the balance between authentic freedom and personal responsibility. I've got to tell you, the quality of the education, the values of the school will give you serious peace of mind. Come and check out Willows Academy at their open house on Sunday, October 15th at 1 p.m. You can register online at willowsacademy.org. It's open to girls grades 6 through 12. And again, the open house is Sunday, October 15th, 1 p.m., and it's willowsacademy.org to register.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately, helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
So what'd you have for dinner last night? What did you have for lunch or breakfast? Any fruits and veggies in that? If not, then you should be taking Balance of Nature. 31 whole fruits and vegetables. They take the fruits and veggies and they turn them into a powder substance after putting them through an advanced vacuum cold process, which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. Real food, real nutrition. People who take it say they have increased energy, the ability to keep doing the things that they love, even as they age. I met one woman who's lost a lot of weight. Why? Well, instead of grabbing cookies or chocolate to, satisfy her sweet tooth, instead she'll just take a fruit capsule and chew on that. So call this number, 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago first-timers. Get free shipping and 35% off their first preferred order of fruits and veggies. Get your energy back. Get your life back. Changing the world one success story at a time. And when you give your body the best possible fuel, you'll have more energy and you're stronger. You think more quickly. So get out on 800-246-8751 or balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
What is the message, I should say, that the bond market is sending us about the state of the U.S. economy? We'll start there with Jim Perry from Perry International Capital Partners at 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
68 degrees at 7:31. Overnight, a 17-year-old boy was killed in a shooting in north suburban Round Lake. Lake County sheriffs say they tracked cell phone calls that dialed 911 to a gas station near Rollins Road. Officers found a car that was riddled with gunfire and a 17-year-old boy with wounds. That sheriff's office official later said the 17-year-old was transported to a local hospital in Libertyville and later pronounced dead. Russia has targeted Ukraine with drones in another large attack. Ukraine's Air Force saying the country's air defense intercepted 24 out of 29 Iranian-made drones. The head of Homeland Security is calling for a construction of a border wall in parts of Texas. Our reporter Mark Mayfield is in Washington, D.C.
Fox News says DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is citing an acute and immediate need to waive dozens of federal laws to build a border wall in parts of Texas where illegal migration has surged recently. The announcement, published in the Federal Register, calls for border wall construction in Starr County along the Rio Grande, where the Biden administration says there is a high illegal entry. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The embattled director of DCFS in Illinois is stepping down. Mark Smith will resign, but not until the end of the year. State Representative Charlie Meyer says that's way too late.
Find the right person to run these different agencies and run them. And the people underneath them, if they aren't working, fire them. Instead of, in the past in different agencies, they move people around. They don't fire them.
A plan to abolish a sub-minimum wage for tip workers in Chicago is set to be approved as soon as tomorrow. Dozens of former Signature Room workers allege the owner of the now-closed iconic Chicago restaurant broke the law. The 136 workers say they feel betrayed.
I'm a single mom, and because of this job, I was able to raise my son and take care of my family.
The workers are suing for back pay and other benefits. An Inglewood woman says she was sexually assaulted at gunpoint Wednesday in the 7300 block of South May. It happened around 11:15 in the morning, where a 26-year-old woman told them she was sexually assaulted by a man who also stole her cell phone. Commanders and Bears in Thursday night football tonight. Bears looking for their first win of the season. The other football, the Fire, they rout Inter Miami 4-1. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Automated Systems Incorporated, HealthInsuranceMentors.com, and by Illinois Concealed Carry Training.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having nationwide access with an annual deductible of only $226. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor, C. Stephen Tucker from HealthInsuranceMentors.com, is someone I know and trust. He's a 28-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit HealthInsuranceMentors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
When you get aggravated and the news has you down, when the reality of Americanism being subverted by traitors, enemies, both foreign and domestic, get to you, I go to 120 Life. Because 120 Life has found the key naturally to controlling your blood pressure. They're a Chicago-based company, and they're doing something about Big Pharma having a monopoly on blood pressure. You see, naturally, you can control your blood pressure. 120 Life has made the best natural ingredients available to you in one drink. Pomegranate, tart cherries, cranberries, hibiscus, beetroot, and magnesium. All a natural way to lower your blood pressure. That's what's nice about it. It comes in an 8-ounce bottle. You can mix and match smoothies, out of the bottle, whatever you prefer. Visit 120life.com. That's 120life.com. You can order a 2-week trial pack. Using promo code Liberty, you save 15%, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. Visit 120life.com. That's 120life.com. That's 120life.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You may have heard me on the radio sharing information about taxes, the IRS, or some other legal topic. Over these many years, I've learned quite a lot about helping business owners. It's pretty complicated out there. Business owners must always be learning just to keep up. So I've put together an email newsletter where I share information with business owners for free. That's right, no charge. All you have to do is go to radiotaxman.com and provide your email address. That's it. You may wonder why I would do that. Well, I know business owners are going to need help now and again. Tax returns, IRS trouble, business structuring, tax planning, and a whole lot more. I also know that if I share accurate, important information with you, information you can trust, you may give me an opportunity to help you. That's it. You don't have to ask for my help, but I want to offer it to you. Pretty simple. Go to radiotaxman.com right now and sign up for my email newsletter. That's radiotaxman.com. It's free. Together we can fight back now.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
7:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of the Pride stores with 17 locations throughout Chicagoland. Stop by their newest mobile gas station, the Pride of Villa Park, as they celebrate their grand reopening with daily prizes. The Pride stores, not your typical convenience store. Eden sits at 36 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy at an hour 16. Inbound from O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange and back outbound, it's an hour to the big airport. Aiken, an hour 4, 390 to the old post office with an accident inbound at Austin. Stevenson outbound, an accident on the entrance ramp to Route 83 and a car in the ditch there, so watch out. And it's gumming up the works out to I-355 where it's 35 minutes to the toll road. On the tri-state stop-and-go traffic northbound between the Mile Long Bridge and 31st, Jane Addams. Fire's out, but the destroyed semi remains. 3 lanes blocked westbound on I-90 between Tyro Road to right past Powers Road. Traffic, a service of Starcase, offering a wide variety of rack frames. They also stock the rack mount accessories you're looking for. Go to starcase.com to get started. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Cloudy this morning, a bit of rain, then some sun this afternoon is in the forecast. High 74. 68 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, best beans, best roast, best coffee. Online at papanicholas.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Kevin Warsh is a former member of the Federal Reserve Board. Now he's at the Hoover Institution. Interesting op-ed. The bond market's message, that is. Ears may want to perk up. The Fed increased its short-term policy rate by only a quarter point since May 3rd. But the interest rate that matters most to households, businesses, and governments is set by the 10-year Treasury note, and that's up nearly 1.5 points since the spring. I expect the most significant tightening to the real economy in the cycle to begin around the end of this year, he writes. The U.S. is courting trouble. More than a third of the surge in investment spending can be traced to government subsidies, credits, and handouts. The chosen corporate recipients of the government's largesse ostensibly benefit, but the rest of the private economy will be burdened by sensitive. That is, they were buying Treasury debt for policy reasons, economic, geopolitical, regulatory. Prices didn't matter. How fortunate. These buyers, however, have largely exited the market. The Fed bought about a quarter of all Treasury debt in the past decade, but warns that its Treasury holdings will shrink for at least another year. Now fold in China, another massive buyer in recent years. It's unlikely to sell its existing holdings at a loss, but don't expect the Chinese communists to do the U.S. any favor by showing up in size at the next Treasury auction. So in sum, Kevin Warsh writes, the economy has proved particularly resilient in the past year, which is a testament to residual dynamism. But the bigger story is the insulation of large parts of the economy from the Fed's increases in short-term rates. About 90% of single-family residences are sitting on fixed-rate mortgages. More than two-thirds of auto loans are locked in at materially lower rates. All of these loans and lower-quality companies with weaker credit profiles are likely to require refinancing in a much tougher macro environment. Many on Wall Street and D.C. are focused on whether the Fed will raise interest rates another quarter point. It matters little when compared with the changes in the benchmark Treasury rate, which is the most consequential price of the most important asset anywhere in the world. That's sort of a foreboding analysis. I wonder if our friend Jim Perry agrees. Let's ask him. Jim Perry is the founder and CIO of Perry International Capital Partners, LLC. Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. Good morning.
Is Mr. Warsh over there at the Hoover Institution, is he got it about sussed out?
He's 100% right. I read that article this morning, and I thought, I'm going to talk about this today because this is really important. So you already did. It's the most important message that the market needs to hear right now, and it's correct.
And so what the implications, he doesn't sort of finish the story in terms of what this all is going to mean, how this is all going to play out, but at least he has us focused on the right things to watch. So give us the rest of the story in your view.
Right. It's pretty clear, the Fed has been trying really since 2007, right, to maintain low interest rates to leverage up the economy. And they've been able to do it by buying long bonds. And now, the trouble is that, as Mr. Warsh said, their message is they want to hold short rates pretty much right here. And then, of course, threaten them if inflation rises. The trouble is that, the Fed doesn't set interest rates anymore, right? The bond market does. And the fact is the bond market is telling you, regardless of what Mr. Powell says or half the analysts or most of the analysts on Wall Street, inflation is structural and systemic, and it's rising because of fiscal deficit spending. And the trouble with that is that, the guys that hold the purse strings, the administration has an agenda here, which is get reelected, right? That's November. It's not that far down the road. And if they've got money that has been legislatively approved for them to spend, it would make certain sense for them to front load that spending and spend as much as they can in the next 6 to 9 months to make sure that the economy's got something to say for itself by the time the election runs around. Trouble is, it's causing inflation, and the bond market knows it, households know it, businesses know it, and they're not happy about it.
So if this 43% growth in the size of government that's occurred in the last 4 years, it's unbelievable. If we don't stay on that track, and we're not going to with House Republicans in charge in the majority, we're not going to. I mean, you can argue about the specific things, but we're not going to continue printing and spending at the pace that we have in the first 2 years of the Biden regime. So then what happens? Are we looking at, I don't want to say something akin to the 2008-09 recession, but are we looking at something, in that direction?
I think we are, Dan. And I think it's sometimes it's hard for people to kind of, get their arms around this thing. And what I like to say to clients is that, the trouble isn't that the Fed funds rate is at 5.5%, and maybe it goes to 5 3/4, next month or whatever. The trouble is that interest rates were down at basically zero for 14 years. Well, call it 5 really, but very, very low, much lower than the market much lower than they should have been. And the fact is that a 5.5% Fed funds rate or a 4.75% 10-year note is highly problematic for all of the people that borrowed money at 1% and 2% and 3%. These guys have to refinance some of these loans, and money is getting more expensive because the banking industry, the leverage loan industry, the private equity and debt industry, they want a higher premium for the risk that they're taking if they're lending money out. So it's hard to get money if you need it, right? And a lot of people who have fixed assets that had cash flows that were reasonable 3 years ago and 4 years ago are highly unreasonable now. They have negative cash flows, and it's a big problem. So, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon.
Well, let's talk about the mortgage rates. We have somebody that advertises with this show that says have to put that on hold because rates are at a 23-year high, and the opportunity to secure mortgages is limited because he says refinancing doesn't make sense or listeners don't qualify for it. So how long do we have to live like this?
Well, you know, Amy, it's funny. I was thinking about you because you and I talked about a year ago, and I think you were talking about a relative, maybe it was your son or something like that, who's going to go move to Texas and get a mortgage. And we said, well, you know, you said, what should we do? And I said, I would get it now. And you said, well, how high are mortgage rates going to go? And I said, you know, Amy, they're probably going to go up toward 8%. And that was a year ago, right? So they're up at 8%. Remember that? I mean, that was, right? Okay, so the point is that affordability of houses has never been worse. And to your point, the main reason is most people who have a piece of property did get a lower mortgage 3 years ago and 5 years ago, and they are very reluctant to sell. So the supply of existing homes for potential new buyers is very low. And what's happening with that is because people can't buy homes, they're renting them. So rent prices are going up to match the high prices of homes, and shelter component of CPI is, you know, something like 40%. And if you've got increases in rents running at double digits for the last 3 years now or 2 years, it's going to be really hard for the inflation numbers to come down, CPI, right?
The jobs number expected tomorrow, ADP put it at 89,000 in September, pretty anemic. Now, there's often a gulf between ADP and the Department of Labor's official number, and I used to defer to the Department of Labor, but who can defer to any government agency when it comes to data of any kind at this point? So I don't know who's going to be more accurate depending on what the number is, but let's just say for the sake of argument that ADP is close and it's around 90,000 jobs in September. So you would think that that would be an indication to Powell that the job has been done. I'm slowing employment. More people are losing their jobs. 500 UAW auto workers were laid off this week. So that's good news for Jay Powell that wants to put people out of work to try to curb inflation. So if that number is true and that sort of stabilizes that very slow employment growth, what does that mean for inflation and in terms of its systemic quality, as you were suggesting?
Right. It's a good question. You've heard me complain about the statistics that the government sort of gathers in areas like unemployment and labor. So you have to kind of take all of that stuff with a grain of salt, and it gets revised. This is the most revised number around.
Right.
And these government surveys, they call people on landlines at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the only people that pick them up are people who are not working, right? So these are not good surveys. So you really have to kind of connect the dots with all of this stuff. But I think that, and I'm not sure how fast the real unemployment rate's going to go or the new jobs are going to go according to the government. But what I will tell you is this. Companies who are viable and who are continuing to see demand, they are hiring, they are maintaining their workers, and they are paying up for them because they don't want to have a shortage of labor like they did, 2 years ago. And I think the more relevant number is the job openings number that we saw last week, right? Job openings, meaning this is what we're looking for. That number is sort of 9.6 million job openings, right? So you can argue that we're slowing down and there's no jobs, but, if companies who are viable are looking for workers, and they're willing, and there's a shortage of demand and supply, right? I mean, Powell's been talking about the number one issue, even before he started hiking rates, when he was talking in August of 2021 at Jackson Hole. He said the biggest problem is, and he's been saying this every single press conference after every single hike, there is a massive imbalance between the supply and demand of labor. And Powell's job here, what he wants to do, the playbook, is to increase unemployment to something like 4.5%. And the trouble is that the unemployment rate has been falling for the last sort of 6 months. You know, it's been down, it's 3.8% or something like that. So if workers can demand higher rates and get them, then you have an inflation tailwind that is stronger than it's been really since the 70s. The United Auto Workers strike is exactly that story. Healthcare and teachers and government employees, everybody in almost every job has bargaining power. And the government, you know, they've already stepped in and made sure that the railroad workers got what they wanted. And I'm just waiting for the government to come in and make sure that they give the United Auto Workers what they want before this gets too bad, too. So, again, more government spending, more push on inflation, and higher interest rates because the bond market doesn't like what it sees.
He is Jim Perry, founder and CIO of Perry International Capital Partners. The PerryInternationalCapitalPartners.com is the website. Jim, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second-generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old-school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest-growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Do you hear the crowd cheering as the ball hits the hardwood floor? This is the moment. With only 5 seconds left on the clock, you pull up for the game-winning shot. You watch it soar through the air, just for it to fall short because of the exhaustion from playing all night. Don't let this be you. Fuel your body with whole fruits and vegetables to play hard through the night and end the game with a swish. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Looking to purchase a new home? Then you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. The two biggest obstacles of purchasing a home are the down payment and closing costs. But I have amazing news. Veterans can purchase a home with no money down with a VA loan, and borrowers in rural areas can secure a USDA loan with no money down and even finance their closing costs. If you're not a veteran or live in a rural area, you can secure a conventional loan with only 3% down or an FHA loan with only 3.5% 50% down. To purchase a home for as little money down as possible, call Team Hochberg now at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. If you want to purchase a home with no or low down payment, call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 1124061.
Hi, folks. Dennis Prager here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and me talking about investing with YRefi for a while now. You may have some questions, so let's review. It's true. You can earn up to a 10.25% fixed rate of return that is not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose, and there are absolutely no fees. There is no attack on principal if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investYRefi.com. That's invest, the letter Y, then refi, REFY.com. Or call 888-YRefi24. Folks, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investYRefi.com or call 888-YRefi24 and tell them Dennis Prager sent you.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Early test for Chicago Police Chief Larry Snelling. What to do about the consent decree under which the CPD operates. We'll discuss with Charles Lehman from the Manhattan Institute at 8:08.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Pat Fitzgerald to announce a lawsuit through his attorneys later this morning. A 17-year-old killed in a shooting in Round Lake. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Jim Jordan for House Speaker. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I do think we have to have someone who can bring our team together.
The Republican congressman just told Fox as Speaker he would
go do the things we told the American people we would do for them.
And Jordan says he supports legislation to end government shutdown drama for good.
That bill says if we get to the end of the fiscal year, we haven't done the appropriations bills, the government stays funded, but we stay here round the clock until we do our job.
Now, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise is also a candidate for Speaker for the House to consider next week. They're in recess till then. And GOP Congressman Bob Good, one of the 8 Republicans who joined Democrats voting Kevin McCarthy out, tells Fox they will not support changing the rule that allows just one member to call for a vote to oust the Speaker.
We'll elect a strong, secure leader who knows they serve at the pleasure of their members, and they'll keep that in place. It was in place for 200 years till Nancy Pelosi changed it. That's an important part of our rules package.
President Biden's doing a 180 at the border, restarting wall construction he stopped when he took office.
The Biden administration waiving 26 federal laws in South Texas to allow construction on 17 miles of border wall in the Rio Grande Valley. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says, quote, there is presently an acute and immediate need to construct physical barriers and roads in the vicinity of the border.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz, they'll build it in Starr County, Texas, where nearly 250,000 migrants crossed in the just ended fiscal year, which set a new record for illegal entry into the U.S. Today, the head of Homeland Security, the Secretary of State, and the Attorney General are in Mexico for talks on slowing migration. For a second day, about 75,000 healthcare workers will picket in a 3-day strike against Kaiser Permanente.
I've worked through COVID
until today, and things haven't gotten any better.
He's in Virginia. The strike also affects hospitals and facilities in California, Colorado, Oregon, Maryland, and Washington State and D.C. America's listening to Fox News.
We've had light rain showers across the area, 68 degrees, 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Mike Scott. A 17-year-old boy killed in a shooting in Round Lake last night. Lake County sheriffs say it happened around 8:30 in the area of Cedar Lake Road and Rollins Road at a gas station. The 17-year-old was hit by gunfire and transported to Advocate Condell Medical Center in Libertyville, later pronounced dead. Attorneys for fired Northwestern football coach Pat Fitzgerald are set to make a major announcement today. According to the Daily Herald, they will announce a lawsuit. Pat Fitzgerald is alleging Northwestern University breached their contract. Fitzgerald, you may recall, was fired in July after a suspension when allegations of hazing and sexual abuse within the football program surfaced. The embattled director of the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services is stepping down. The governor announcing Mark Smith will resign, but not until the end of the year, and that is not soon enough for State Representative Charlie Meyer.
Find the right person to run these underneath them. If they aren't working, fire them. Instead of, in the past in different agencies. They move people around. They don't fire them.
The governor's office also quietly announced shakeups in other departments, but those agency heads were simply replaced by Pritzker administration insiders. An Englewood woman says she was sexually assaulted at gunpoint Wednesday. Chicago police say the woman was assaulted in the 7300 block, they believe, of South May around 11:15 in the morning. That 26-year-old woman told police she was sexually assaulted by a male who also stole her cell phone. Chicago sports, Commanders and Bears in Washington tonight on Thursday Night Football. The Blackhawks continue preseason play with a game against the Wild tonight. 8:04 time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street will be reacting today to the numbers on how many people filed for unemployment benefits last week. Amazon and Microsoft are facing investigations by regulators in the UK over their dominance of cloud computing. The probe's expected to be concluded by April of 2025. Amazon Web Services says it disagrees with the findings but will cooperate. Microsoft says it will engage with regulators during the investigation. Rivian shares are down 9%, even though the electric truck company expects sales this quarter will match estimates. Sandal company Birkenstock stock launch is now expected next week. Wall Street analysts are cautious about the shoe business, saying it needs to boost sales from its website and boutiques to attract new shoppers. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Coselda, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Illinois Family Institute, and by Alpha Wealth Group.
Have you lost Illinois Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm telling you, I love these. I have so many benefits from this. I should be your testimony on TV because they have done so much for me. It really helped me so much.
Well, I've noticed some improvements over time. I noticed that I used to eat a lot of cookies and snack between meals, and I've stopped doing that because I just don't feel a desire to do that. My energy lasts longer, I have more endurance, and a number of things I'm happy with.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Bring smiles to all when shopping online with Dell Technologies Gift Guide. Whether it's for the artist, the entrepreneur, the student, or the streamer, you'll find the perfect gift for everyone on your list. Dell.com/gift guide makes gifting easy with a carefully curated selection of our best tech. Shop now to explore our innovative PCs like the XPS 13 laptop, powered by the latest Intel Core processors, plus this season's top accessories. Visit Dell.com/gift guide today to get a jump on your holiday gift list. That's Dell.com/gift guide.
Democrats just want to win the next election, and they're trying to do it with ceaseless money printing. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. It is critical to protect your retirement right now with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. Text the word PROTECT to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
8:08. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is the service of the Pride Store's 17 locations throughout Chicagoland. Stop by their newest mobile gas station, the Pride of Villa Park. Celebrate their grand reopening with daily prizes, special offers for diesel customers, and a solo stove raffle. Inbound Edens, 32 minutes. Lake Cook Road to the Junction. Kennedy inbound. It's an hour and 20 from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Back outbound to the big airport in 55. Ike, an hour 13 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson at an hour 10 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Your jam solid Harlem all the way into Kedzie. Lakeshore Drive northbound Foster to Hollywood. Big slowdowns right now. Stop and go traffic on the tri-state right at Archer Avenue. Jane Addams, a vehicle fire is slowly being pulled out of your way westbound between Tyrell Road to right at Powers Road. That vehicle fire still has 2 left lanes blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy this morning with a bit of rain. Sun this afternoon. High 74. 68 right now. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I have to go back to this statement that Philadelphia DA Larry Krasner made in response to the looting in Philly over the last week. And it was more than just looting. You had that social justice warrior who was killed murdered in his own apartment after ridiculing people who suggested that Philly was being besieged by violent predators.
Yeah, he was shot 7 times.
New York, too, by the way. Another couple of social justice warriors. The guy that was walking in Brooklyn with his girlfriend got stabbed to death by a sort of deranged, maybe homeless woman. This dude, self-described Antifa. His girlfriend on social media, self-described defund the policer, pushing BLM.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get mugged by reality anymore.
Sometimes you get killed by reality.
Well, yeah.
Well, you do. It's sad, and we're not gloating or saying like, "Oh, we told you so," but this is just the facts and the reality that we live in.
Yeah, And
I was a Democrat too, but I was mugged by reality.
And $73,000 in crabs were stolen in Philly yesterday.
You know what? I think you want a crab cake out of this.
That's a lot of crabs. It's a lot of crab meat.
It's making you hungry.
Well, here's what Larry Krasner had to say when queried about all of the lawlessness, of course, caught on security footage that then makes its way around the interweb. Here's what he said. Listen to this phrase, because this is one that I think you're going to hear again and again. Add to your Orwellian dictionary for the times.
Not going to let any judge disturb the peace of this city.
The DA calls it individual justice and says everyone involved in the looting will be looked at on a case-by-case basis.
We'll look carefully to see whether this is a one-off situation and they're fundamentally law-abiding people.
Fundamentally law-abiding people.
Fundamentally law-abiding criminals. There's two sets of criminals, the ones that are fundamentally law-abiding and the ones that are not, I guess. Okay. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Charles Lehman. He's a fellow at the Manhattan Institute, working primarily on the Policing and Public Safety Initiative and a contributing editor of City Journal. He's done a bit of an examination of the consent decree that under which the Chicago Police Department operates that hamstrings police, in addition to how they're hamstrung by the political leadership of the city. The consent decree implemented in 2019. Well, he asks a pertinent question. So how's it going? 4 years in, what's the impact?
Well,
Charles, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on the show again. So as you alluded to, I took a look at the consent decree. Obviously, it's been a subject of some dispute in the city. But, I think ultimately when you're trying to evaluate a program like a police consent decree, you have to be interested in what are the outcomes. And what I find across the board is there's actually been surprisingly little change in most of the outcomes that we would have expected the consent decree to affect. In some senses, that's good. So across a variety of measures, officer-involved shootings have basically continued to decline at the same trajectory, or they've leveled off at the same trajectory they were going at when the consent decree was implemented. That's probably good, but not much of a change. Use of force seems to be slightly down, but that probably reflects COVID changes. Rates of complaints are actually slightly up, but that may be have to do with measurement as well. And the thing that's most telling to me is the city has been asking Chicagoans on a monthly basis how safe they feel and how much trust they have in the police since November of 2017. And what I find looking at those data is there's been basically no change in their sense of trust in the CPD. So insofar as the goal was to restore trust in CPD, there has been no change in that level.
Yeah, well, and so Larry Snelling, the newly minted Chicago police superintendent, this may be an early test for him. If I'm him and I read this piece, your assessment, if I agree with it, then wouldn't I say it's time to lift the consent decree and focus on what the real problem is in Chicago, which is the lack of arrests, because in part for all sorts of reasons, including lack of police resources, lack of prosecution, lack of proper sentencing by judges. We need to focus on the thing that has people feeling unsafe, which is repeat violent offenders operating on Chicago streets. That seems like this could be an early moment for Snelling in his tenure as police chief.
Yeah, when those two priorities that I alluded to earlier, concerns about safety and concerns about trust, really have to be balanced. They both have to be incorporated. So I think it is right. Chicago has a persistently high violent crime rate for decades by comparison to other cities. B, a particularly acute violent crime problem right now, which I agree is not being helped by the county and the state legislature. And so I think reprioritizing towards that would be beneficial. If you have scarce dollars, it's better to spend on that. On the other hand, it is clear, it does seem like a substantial portion of Chicago trusts CPD less than they ideally would. And that's going to be a persistent problem for crime control, among many other things. And so, I think the question has to be, it isn't, should CPD try to do nothing to change itself? It just, is the consent decree the best tool for affecting that change? It seems, at least as far, like the answer is no.
Well, right, but one of the perception problems CPD has, I mean, some of it is high profile bad actors and cases, the Laquan McDonald case, but the other is just the constant unwarranted demonization of police by politicians for political reasons.
Yes, I think that's almost certainly right. And ideally having a chief executive who's supportive of the police would help.
Yeah.
Larry Snelling. I'm not sure you have that in Chicago.
It'd be novel. Yeah.
Yeah. But from my perspective as a researcher, my question is very narrow: is the consent decree process? Look, many cities have implemented these consent decrees. They were extremely popular during the Obama administration. The Biden administration has sought to bring them back. And the question to me is, in large part, are these an effective tool for police reform? Do they actually work? Chicago's the largest PD in the nation to undergo a consent decree. And if it's not particularly impactful in Chicago, then we should be willing to ask the question of, are the feds the right agency, the right agent to get involved in doing this? Is the consent decree process the right process to make this happen? Is there a way to investigate, to get other stakeholders involved, to try to do some reconciliation between the police and those leaders who, as you're alluding to, would rather take advantage of them for political purposes than see safer streets?
Well, has anything positive come out of Chicago's police consent decree?
There are jurisdictions where the consent decree made things appreciably worse. In Pittsburgh, there was a dramatic increase in use of force following the consent decree, and that basically has not happened. It's also the case that there were possibly some beneficial changes that happened in the wake of the protests and changes made under Mayor Emanuel starting in 2015. One can argue about what the ideal level of police officer involved shootings is. It's declined pretty substantially since 2015. That seems generically like a good thing, although maybe there were shots that should have been taken that weren't. That said, it's that's hard to attribute to the consent decree rather than the prevailing environment. And we should note that there's actually high quality research that says that prevailing environment contributed substantially to the increase in violent crime in Chicago following 2015.
You write, too, about the cost of implementing under our previous mayor. The prediction was the implementation of this consent decree would cost $50 to $100 million. And this is, in part, a lot of spend on independent monitoring that teams that are tasked with overseeing implementation. And you write, it's hard to justify spending that much money on a process that doesn't seem to be having the desired effect, especially when we need all that money for the migrants. So that's the real. I mean, that part of it's the issue of the spend, and part of it is just the issue of, look, this is just not accomplishing anything in particular except for politicians to point to, say, I was a proponent of police reform. We're bringing these independent teams. They're providing this oversight. I mean, this is the discussion, the pertinent discussion in cities beset with endemic violent crime is about police protocols, like chase policies, what prosecutors and judges are doing, how the three different agencies in criminal justice systems are working together. I mean, that's the conversation we should be having. This is all just window dressing bull jive, isn't it?
Well, I think, yeah. What you're saying about the independent monitoring team is important here, right? And this happens in consent decrees across the country. A court orders consent decree for a local PD. They appoint an outside agent to oversee the implementation of the decree. The outside agent gets paid. The funding that goes to them is on the order of millions of dollars every single year that comes out of the city's coffers. That's a pretty cherry gig. So it's not just that it's not doing anything. I agree. It's also that that funding is going towards not just being wasted, but going towards an entity that has an interest in perpetuating its own existence. That is going to want to keep saying things are getting worse. Things are getting worse. You need me here look, the consent decree isn't working. You need me to continue to implement the consent decree because that's how you get paid as an independent monitor. And you see this. You saw this in Seattle. You've seen this in lots of places that have implemented consent decrees. Occasionally, you get a good one. I don't know strong opinions on the merits here, but in general, there's a real risk involved in these positions. There's real benefit to be gained from being in this position.
Yeah, excellent point. Charles Lehman, fellow at the Manhattan Institute, working primarily on the Policing and Public Safety Initiative, also contributing editor at City Journal. Charles, thanks as always.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Nick Philippus, co-owner of Joe Donut and a proud customer of Signature Bank. We're a locally owned artisan donut shop that focuses on chef-made small batch and craft donuts. We have 7 locations around the Chicagoland suburbs, with an 8th location coming soon. After opening our original stores in Glenview and Niles, we came to Signature Bank for financing for our new Mount Prospect location. From PPP and material delays in construction, Signature Bank was flexible and truly a banking partner that a small business like ours hadn't experienced before. Even their fraud department was able to stop a $30,000 fraudulent check from clearing our account. That allowed us to focus on selling donuts, knowing Signature Bank had our back.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, the consent decree was enacted by a lame duck Illinois AG, a lame duck Chicago mayor, and a lame duck superintendent, just like the Safety Act, all bad.
Yeah, but everybody gets to point to this and say we're doing police reform, and somebody who's politically connected gets paid, and everybody gets to keep up the appearances and keep telling their beautiful lies. That's the important thing. Yeah. And there's no amount of money that is too much to spend on that, right? Keeping up appearances, even though the policy choices are totally ineffectual. Perfect. Sounds good. Northridge Prep, great place to be a boy. What does that mean? In short, it's thanks to a foundation of an all-boys environment that builds up your son into a man of intellect and character who loves God. The teachers and faculty members become mentors to students. And when you combine that with an atmosphere that's fun, competitive, and challenging, it creates an exceptional experience for your son, so he doesn't grow up to believe the beautiful lies of snake oil salesmen in public office. The result is that boys just love Northridge Prep. They've been educating boys for nearly 50 years. One of the things that stands out to me is their commitment to partnering with parents. Now, you hear this a lot with schools, but at Northridge, the parents can't stop talking about it. They've built a community that really works together. Raising kids, difficult, as everyone knows. And at Northridge, you can be confident your son is on the right path. They're having an open house, Northridge Prep is, Sunday, October 22nd for boys in grades 6 through 12. Register today at northridgeprep.org. Again, the open house is Sunday, October 22nd. Register at northridgeprep.org.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
All right, doing it right now. I love it. I can taste the fruits and veggies in this. I take 6 capsules, crack them open into warm water, stir it, and voila, getting enough fruits and veggies to take me through the day. And when you give your body the best possible fuel, because that's what that is, you have more energy, you're stronger, you can think quickly, you're going to have a better day. And when you have a better day, you don't have to take a nap in the afternoon, and then you could fall asleep better at night. You know the routine. powdered after an advanced vacuum cold process, which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. There's 31 different whole fruits and vegetables, no preservatives, no dyes, GMO, gluten-free. So give it a try. Do something proactive for yourself. Keep your temple the way it should be. 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or online at balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I'm going out to Jackson Hole to fly fish.
Yeah, do you want to talk about it? Because yesterday at the end of the show, you seemed bothered.
Well, I don't want to, your idle chit-chat about it. It's
Oh my God.
nonsensical. I'm a little concerned.
This is why you're not one of my girlfriends.
I have a point to why I'm talking about it. That's the difference. I'm not just trying to fill space. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. A feud between Wyoming ranchers boiled over when a father and son marked a neighbor's errant cows with bleach, including drawing penis shapes on some of them.
What's that on the side of your
It's Hatfields
sternum?
Hatfields and McCoy's Wyoming style.
Well, why would they bleach them? Come on.
They're now facing felony-level property destruction charges. Yeah. They funneled 189 heifers and 6 bulls into a chute, bleach-dried them to get a neighbor's attention after 3 years of having the cattle cross onto their land. And some of the heifers had penis shapes bleached onto their bodies.
Do you have a picture of that? Should we call Scott the cow guy immediately?
The incidence of penis in the animal kingdom, you'd be surprised.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'd like to...
Do you have more you'd like to share?
Yeah. I would like to rub a couple of these out, if you don't mind.
Oh, my God.
Move over Viagra. Spiders' erection-inducing venom could cure ED.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see this?
Well, I heard about it, but what? Are you taking it now or something?
No.
Hey-o.
No. Scientists believe they can harness the power of the Brazilian wandering spider to boost men's performance in the bedroom. A bite from the spider can cause long and painful erections. Or any other kind. They're doing a test on this. 72 men will now test out a gel made from a molecule in the venom, and the results will be expected in the spring. Boing. So we'll do some trials. We'll look forward to the results come the changing of the seasons. The professor at the Federal University of Minas Gerais in Brazil, the drug candidate has demonstrated it does not generate any side effects, even in high doses. How about that? That's great news for the Villages in Orlando.
Oh, yeah, that place is hopping, huh?
Well,
Isn't it like swingers capital of the world for the elderly?
There was that disturbing documentary about the incidents of VD at the Villages.
Yeah.
Because the seniors are getting it on. But also, they're under the thumb of a drug kingpin at the Villages.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that El Chapo's nephew or somebody?
Well, he's the El Chapo of ED medicine. Reggie Kinser was stockpiling illegal erectile dysfunction drugs at the Villages.
How old is he?
Snovitra 20, Villatra, whatever that is. 20.
Are you
I don't know what these
reading
are.
a street name, or is that the name of the drug, or is that the name of the
Snovitra
suspect?
20. He's stockpiling. He was the kingpin for ED drugs. Snovitra 20. Perhaps people know this out there. Velitra 20 and Camargra oral jelly.
I'll pass on that jelly.
Which was the name of my college high school band, or my college garage band, I should say.
A cover for
Fish. See, he with the intent to sell them locally and outside the state of Florida. And now, by the way, they were featured in the film. Which focused on the residents of the Villages. Now he's been arrested. Yeah.
I'm dying to know how old he is. Well, do you have to be, 50 and older or 55 to live in the Villages?
I haven't looked into it. I don't know. But yeah,
Saddlebrook, you got to be 55.
Well, I understand why you're looking into it, and you understand why I'm not.
Oh.
Yeah. I just wanted to.
That's
So again, I mean, for the villages, just to keep up the pace of their activity, with Reggie probably going away, you may want to look into the results of this study of the Brazilian wandering spider. Just lick a spider.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, I'm of two minds. I kind of want to do another sports and politics, even though we did one earlier.
You know what? It's all about you, Dan. Whatever you want to do.
It is my last day of the show this week, at least. Yeah, maybe sports and politics at 8:38.
All right, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
68 degrees at 8:32. House Republicans are scrambling to find a new speaker. After Kevin McCarthy was voted out this week, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan joins Majority Leader Steve Scalise as those who are launching campaigns to be the next speaker, an election set for next Wednesday. The head of Homeland Security calling for construction of a border wall in parts of Texas.
The Department of Homeland Security waiving 26 federal laws such as the Clean Air Act and the Safe Water Drinking Act to allow border wall construction in Starr County, Texas. This is a major reversal for President Biden.
DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas citing an acute and immediate need to waive the laws. The man convicted of a mass shooting inside a crowded Brooklyn subway train will earn his punishment at sentencing today.
Well, there's going to be victim impact statements read following arguments from the defense and prosecutors. Frank James's defense team pushing for no more than 18 years in prison, citing James's age, poor health, and that James suffers from a mental illness. But prosecutors, they want life in prison. In April of last year, James set off smoke grenades and opened fire on a subway train in Sunset Park, injuring numerous people. James pleaded guilty to federal terrorism charges. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
The U.S. has lost more workdays to labor disputes than any full year since the year 2000 through the month of August. 17-year-old boy was killed in a shooting in north suburban Round Lake Wednesday night around 8:30 near Cedar Lake Road and Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. Attorneys for fired Northwestern football coach Pat Fitzgerald are set to make an announcement today, announcing a lawsuit alleging Fitzgerald suffered a breach of contract. Fitzgerald was fired in July after a suspension when allegations of hazing and sexual abuse arose within the football program. Dozens of former Signature Room workers allege the owner of the now closed iconic Chicago restaurant broke the law. The 136 workers say they feel betrayed by a place they called their second home.
I'm a single mom, and because of this job, I was able to raise my son and take care of my family.
Workers are suing for back pay and other benefits as their union says the restaurant broke the federal WARN Act, not giving notice of an impending layoff. Commanders and Bears on Thursday Night Football tonight. Fire beat by Inter Miami 4-1. Blackhawks continue preseason play on ice with a game against the Wild at the UC. The news, a service of Woodland Windows and Doors. Welcome a Woodland sales expert into your home. You get a no-pressure sale, product expert, design consultant, and someone who has your best interest in mind. Visit woodlandwindows.com to get started. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees an attack on free speech.
What I'm not too clear on is when the door got cracked open, where today the government is criminalizing speech to such an extent that they want to lock up the 45th president of the United States. It's insane to witness the absolute destruction of speech in this country.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Greetings, friends. Sebastian Gorka here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and I talking about investing with Y-Refi for a while. You may have some questions. So let's review. It's true, you can earn up to 10.25% fixed rate of return. That's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose, And there are absolutely no fees. There is no attack on principle if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investyrefi.com. That's invest, the letter Y, then REFY.com, or call 888-YREFI24. Friends, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investyrefi.com or call 888-YREFI24 and tell them Dr. G sent you.
Homeowners experiencing low water pressure, rusty yellow water, little to no hot water, or pressure so low that showering is difficult?
Honey, don't flash. I'm in the shower.
These are all symptoms of clogged and corroded galvanized water pipes that are filled with gunk older than you. You should see it. It's disgusting. You drink it, brush your teeth with it, and bathe in it. Yuck. For your family's sake, repipe your home with quality PEX or copper pipes from All Affordable Plumbing. We're your local, family-owned and operated repiping expert. We can repipe your home in 1 to 3 days with minimal disturbance, and we include a lifetime guarantee. And for a limited time, we're offering 12-month no-interest, no-payment financing and a free water heater. So if you have low water pressure, call for a free in-home estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. That's 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. If you have low water pressure, a copper repipe will get you flowing again. Call for a free estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE. That's 800-NEW-PIPE.
8:37. Let's get an update on the roads now. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and it is a service of Dell Technologies. Dell Technologies has made finding the perfect gift for anyone on the list easy. Carefully curated selections of top tech. The latest PCs powered by Intel Core processors, plus save on select monitors and more. Shop now, Dell.com/gift guide. We'll start as you travel on the Jane Addams I-90. You've got really tough stuff westbound between Tyro Road to past Powers Road due to a major vehicle fire. It's still blocking 2 left-hand lanes. Fire's out, but traffic is only getting by in a partial right lane and on the right shoulder. The backup, we understand, is anywhere from 3 to 5 miles, and the way to get around it on I-90, which is almost at a standstill right now, the best bet is to get off at 31, take that north, then get on Huntley Road and take that all the way to Route 47 and then back down to 90. That is one way around this massive delay westbound on I-90 this morning. Elsewhere, still plenty of other delays. We're also watching Route 53 with stop-and-go traffic this morning. Between Higgins and 390. And delays on the Bishop Ford and I-57 into the Ryan merge. Ryan now 40 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy this morning, still a little bit of rain crossing the area. Sun by the afternoon, high 74, 68 right now. Next news at 9, Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We were talking about penises before Mike Scott's newscast.
Yeah. How's that going?
Penises drawn on cows. Should have had the caption, "Where's the beef?"
Oh.
You see how that could be a double. Anyway, the Brazilian wandering spider that can, if you're bitten by them, long and painful erections.
Yeah. It's a thing, and we're not making this up.
Something that the residents of the villages in Orlando are very interested in, according to the drug kingpin who's now under arrest there, trafficking in ED drugs. Speaking of penises, former Illinois Republican Party Chairman Pat Brady.
Oh, boy.
I almost let this one slip by, and I am compelled to comment on it. Former Illinois Republican Party Chairman Pat
thought
Brady.
You two kissed and made up.
How'd
I
you
don't
think
know.
that?
I don't know.
Yeah, just make stuff up. Biden.
No, because I don't know. I can't keep up.
It's pretty simple. Go back and watch the little City Club
Oh, I remember that. I
chat
was
we
there.
had 5 years ago. And also go back and watch it and tell me who was right about what was coming and what has come over the subsequent 5 years.
You were 100% correct.
People should watch it. Pat Brady, who at that City Club, sort of brandished his conservative credentials. He's a Republican. He's a conservative. He's pro-life, for example. And it's unfortunate that Pat Brady is such an example of the conniving man, because I was friendly with him. And I'm mad at myself because I gave him the benefit of the doubt for much longer than I should have. And I was friends. I mean, I went to his wife's funeral service. His wife, Julie, was a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Tragic,
I've heard always wonderful things.
Tragically died young from cancer. And so, I was friendly with them, and I liked them both. I really liked Julie. I liked Pat, played golf with Pat.
And we had his brother, Dan Brady, on when he was running for Secretary of State.
Not his brother.
Not his brother, cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friends with, but I was also friends with at least one of Pat's brothers. Two of Pat's brothers I think I played golf with. But, politics, I guess, corrupts a lot of people, or it exposes the corruption, the darkness that lies in certain men's hearts. Turn out to be not much of a man. Pat Brady's one of them. I'm pro-life. I may disagree with Dan or the people in this. First, he flipped on marriage redefinition when he was state party chairman, unilaterally. No consideration for the other members of the Republican Central Committee. I mean, I'm telling this story not for the purposes of grinding axes, but for the purposes of explaining to you, the listener, again, why there is no Republican Party. Where is the response? The Republican Party in Illinois was destroyed from within. And every time you seem to be able to point to somebody and say, well, at least we have, well, that person turns out to be, well, we talked about it yesterday. James Mendrick, the sheriff of DuPage County, supposed to be a conservative. Law enforcement think that's a slam dunk. And yet he behaves like a Cook County Democrat hack in response to his agency's response to a mass shooting in Willowbrook. Dismissing anybody who had questions about what happened. And 4 months, not a public utterance, not an answer to a question, no arrests,
And
no explanations.
And asking a question is that they're acting like you're affecting the investigation and the outcome of it. No, we're just wondering, like, the names and ages of the victims, like, who was out there. We're talking teenagers? Are we talking curfew violations as well? And if there were, why don't you stop it until they waited till the shooting happened at like 2 a.m?
Pat Brady, destroying the Republican Party from within. Personal PAC, one of the strongest abortion rights organizations in Illinois, announced the addition of 3 new board members. Pat Brady. Pro-abortion Personal PAC, which is indistinguishable from Planned Parenthood at a state level in Illinois, if you know anything about them. Personal PAC, abortion on demand, all 9 months, taxpayer funded, as radical a Marxist organization as exists in this state, more radical than SEIU, more radical than the teachers union. Funded by a bunch of eugenicist ghouls on the North Shore. And your former Republican State Party chairman, who just 5 minutes ago was professing how he's pro-life, he's a good Republican, new board member. Of course. Once you flip on everything. I just have a disagreement with you about this fundamental issue, this fundamental institution. No, you don't. You're a quisling. And that's what Pat Brady is. Related story, just to tell you again who we're talking about, personal back Planned Parenthood. This is the same. They're indistinguishable. Washington Free Beacon expose. Planned Parenthood is helping teenagers transition after a 30-minute consult.
30 minutes?
Fred has a history of development issues. He was diagnosed with autism at age 4, struggled with depression and anxiety as he got older, was expelled from 3 different special needs schools due to behavioral problems, stemming in part from an impulse control order. He's an 18-year-old high school student in New Jersey who lives with his parents, who asked the Washington Free Beacon to withhold his real name. Fred cycles through obsessions and extreme views. He was part of an alt-right group chat as recently last year, his parents said, but apostatized suddenly, now considers himself far left. In December of 2022, at 17 years old, he announced he was transgender. Now he's a woman. He wanted to go to a clinic at Children's National Hospital, the Gender and Autism Program, Children's National Hospital, the only gender clinic in the country specializing in autistic youth. Fred was determined to take hormones, they told the clinic, which is known for its lengthy assessments. Before he did, they wanted to be sure his dysphoria wasn't transient or peer-driven. The clinic that informed them in March, the family, it had wait lists of about a year. Fred wasn't willing to wait. In late July, while his parents were out of town and after he had come of age, Fred went to Planned Parenthood, which prescribes hormones to any legal adult without a letter from a therapist or a formal diagnosis of gender dysphoria. The only requirement is a brief consultation with a nurse practitioner about the drug's effects, which range from mood swings and male pattern baldness to permanent infertility. Fred arrived at the local clinic in Montclair, New Jersey around 11 a.m., according to the phone tracking data his parents used to monitor his whereabouts. By 11:39, they received a text message from CVS that Fred's estrogen prescription was on its way.
I remember you used to have to wait a year to have any type of drugs prescribed or any type of surgeries performed.
The Illinois Republican Party, the former state party chairman, think about that. I mean, really think about it. And all of the pronouncements and all of the platforming Pat Brady got, because he's a complete media whore and a whore in every other way. Lobbyist for these Marxist organizations in Springfield, where he yucks it up with future convicted felons like Tom Cullerton, which he did. I got the picture. Pat Brady, the good Republican Party chairman, yucking it up with Tom Cullerton, Dem union ghost payroller. That's the Combine. The Combine is more than the graft. It's the selling of souls. And Pat Brady sold his. He's a disgrace. And I apologize to conservatives and Republicans in the state for not seeing this more clearly earlier on. My mistake. Terrible, terrible human being. Not just politically wrong. We have disagreements about races, Ronner versus Ives. He is a slime merchant, a soulless slime merchant for the worst people in this country. And it's not just about abortion, as per the story the Washington Free Beacon reports. And Pat Brady's on board for all of it. You want to understand why nobody wants to show up for Republican Party events? It's because nobody's ever wrong except me. Nobody's ever accountable for what they've done. There's no internal policing of not just bad actors, politically promiscuous, bad humans who will take everyone around them down with them. Who wants to be a part of that? What sensible, decent person who's got all sorts of other competing obligations and interests wants to be a part of that? Pat Brady is the worst thing to happen to the Illinois Republican Party. And this is a statement. I started, my first race was out of Northwestern in 1994, state rep race on the North Shore. So that's 3 decades. Pat Brady is the worst thing to happen to the Illinois Republican Party since I started. A lot of competition for that title, but I'm awarding it to Pat Brady. David in Lansing, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I've been listening to your commentary about Illinois Republicans. They're not standing up to these people. I've come to the conclusion after these past 2.5 years or so that the Illinois Democrats are as they have a mindset that is as evil as the criminals looting, and the reason why the Magnificent Mile is closing down is because of the looting and the shoplifting and all that stuff. Well, the Democrats in Illinois have the same mindset. They're just criminals.
Yeah. Okay. So are the Republicans. What are the Republicans? So I get to your point. Honestly, yeah, I got what the Democrats are. I'm talking about Illinois Republicans and why Illinois is the worst governed state in American history. Why Illinois is one of the states, like California, that doesn't really have an opposition party. Why?
Right. And to expect to fight these Democrats in a conventional method at the ballot box is ridiculous. This is going to take extraordinary, unconventional battles. And to run to Florida or Texas or Tennessee is not going to work because they're going to ruin these states and then run like locusts down to those states and ruin those. So we can't run from these people. We're going to have to deal with them somehow. I don't have the exact answer, but it's not going to be at the ballot box. It's going to, it's going to be that, but it's going to be that, but it's going to be extraordinary other things, that's going to have to happen,
Well, thanks for the call, David. But we've had many, many opportunities at the ballot box to make course corrections. I'm talking about in primaries. And over the since George Ryan's implosion, we've almost invariably made the wrong choice. Republican primary voters have. Up and down the ballot. And this is what you're left with. I mean, the odds are so astronomical that you could put together so many terrible candidates and even worse public officials in a state that has the most elected officials in the country. And you would be hard-pressed to name 5 Republican office holders, particularly if you excluded the municipal level, 5 sort of state level or regional Republican office holders, including federal, that you'd say, well, there's a leader. There's somebody that can help us restore a competitive Republican Party in Illinois. You'd be hard-pressed. I would be, and I know it pretty well. I know the state pretty well. I know the topography pretty well. I know the people pretty well, in the party at least. Hard-pressed to come up with 5. In a state of 13 million people, with 102 counties, and 21,000 elected officials. Mostly Democrats these days, but that's still thousands of Republicans. And what is the offer? Who are the title holders? Can you even name them? And would it matter if you could? Can you distinguish the latest House superminority leader from the previous one and the one before that? The latest Senate superminority leader from the previous one and the one before that? The latest state party chairman from the one before and the one before that? Well, you can distinguish with some. At least Don Tracy, the current Illinois Republican Party chairman, is a good human being and a successful businessman. He's not a soulless slime merchant like Pat Brady. So I guess that's progress. You have a decent human being as the position of state party chairman, whether you agree with everything he's done or not. That's a start. Boy, the threshold's pretty low these days, isn't it?
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
When life ends, your legacy begins. Ensure your legacy lives on at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties. Take advantage of 0% financing, lock in today's prices, and safeguard yourself against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Do you really want to take shots the rest of your life just to lose weight? NJ Diet's typical results are twice as fast as weight loss injections without any of the side effects. Plus, you learn proper portion control and develop healthy eating habits for the rest of your life. By the end of NJ Diet's 40-day program, you'll lose 20 to 40 plus pounds, contractually guaranteed. You will lose the weight and keep it off the natural way. NJ Diet uses your hair, saliva, and blood work, along with scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone. Then NJ Diet uses your DNA info to help keep the weight off. NJ Diet has locations in Skokie and Oak Brook, or is available with live online video consultations. Don't take shots the rest of your life. Lose weight quickly the natural way with NJ Diet. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm telling you, I love these. I have so many benefits from this. I should be your testimony on TV because they have done so much for me. It really helped me so much.
I've noticed some improvements over time. I noticed that I used to eat a lot of cookies and snack between meals, and I stopped doing that because I just don't feel a desire to do that. My energy lasts longer. I have more endurance, and a number of things I'm happy with.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
Cable news. Noisy, out of touch, on repeat. Tired of all the lookalikes? So are we. Salem News Channel is here to change the game. Streaming 24/7, free on your TV with the greatest collection of conservative voices. Home to Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Like you, we say what's wrong and what's right. Unfiltered and unapologetic. Salem News Channel. We're the answer to the mainstream media. Learn more at snc.tv.
Dan Proft here for Willows Academy. Willows is an authentically Catholic, all-girls school that supports traditional values. For nearly 50 years, Willows has partnered with families in the Chicagoland area to educate young women who will change the world. How do they do it? The school develops virtue, intellectual clarity, and confidence in students to live by the values that have made America great. With all the pressure on girls from society and social media to conform, Willows offers your daughter a supportive environment that helps her understand and live the balance between authentic freedom and personal responsibility. Check out Willows Academy at the open house on Sunday, October 15th. I got to tell you, the quality of the education and the values of the school will give you serious peace of mind. Come and check out Willows Academy at the open house on Sunday, October 15th at 1 p.m. Register online at willowsacademy.org. That's willowsacademy.org. Open to girls 6th to 12th grade. That's willowsacademy.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. And a big thank you to Dan Proft.
Oh, no, thank you.
No. And Lord, I don't want to ask you what you're doing, but have a good time.
Well, you already know since I've said 3 times I'm going fly fishing in Jackson.
Enjoy Jackson. And if you see a moose, can you please take a picture and tweet it out?
I will take pictures, yeah.
Go up and pet it in between the
horns.
horns.
On our social media, yeah, exactly.
Well, that won't end well. All right, it's now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Trying to stop a record surge at the border. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I say to those who are pursuing the American dream, it should not turn into a nightmare.
That's New York Mayor Eric Adams in Mexico as he deals with a crisis trying to house migrants who've come to his city or been bused there. The Secretary of State, Head of Homeland Security, and the Attorney General are also in Mexico today for talks on slowing migration.
The Biden administration is now going to waive 26 federal laws to restart border wall construction,
which the president stopped when he took office.
The Biden administration at the time called a massive border wall, quote, not a serious policy solution. But now, roughly 20 months